open. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 audio recording devices and 1 video device, audio video device. Everybody needs to be aware of that. Since we have quite a few appointments, is it all right if we put the minutes off and take the appointments so people don't have to paddle all the way home? Sure. All right. So our first appointment tonight is Chief Droman.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
All right. You staying the night, are you? What'd you find out on our traffic radar deal?
These things are not cheap. I got probably 4 or 5 different prices on different units, and of course they come in every shape and size and configuration. But basically, the average price goes from anywhere between $9,000 to $10,000, depending on what you get for bells and whistles.
Almost twice what we were figuring last week.
Yeah. That's, you know, those are the trailers. There is a version, as I mentioned last week, we on a utility pole, which I don't feel is really a viable option. Those are obviously a little bit cheaper, quite a bit cheaper, probably about $3. So that's what we're looking at. We're looking at anywhere between $9,000 and $10,000. There were a couple of versions that were just under $9,000, so that's what I'm using $9,000.
So there was no state bid, that the state had an authorized bid on it?
MH2, which is where we got our cruiser, is a state bid under Plymouth County, and their price for the 18-inch monitor was $9,468.
How much?
$9,368. That's the state bid. I did get bids from a couple other companies, one in particular out of Pennsylvania. That was 96. There's another version that's 99. Central Equipment has a very cheap version. It's $6,000, but that doesn't have the solar and it doesn't have the ability to download the information, see the information, and so forth. They have a version that's $8,510, but that was last year's price. They haven't got back in this year.
So the $6,000 one doesn't have solar?
It doesn't have solar. It doesn't have the capacity to record the speeds of vehicles and traffic count and things like that you would really want.
Money like this.
Now when I'm at a meeting at work, anybody whose cell phone goes off, they have to buy everybody a beer. So.
I ain't a cell phone.
I'm more than willing to do that, but it's got to be within the next 5 minutes.
Pat, did they give you any expected life cycle, as in 5,000 this year, 5,000 next year? Because the life cycle of these things is maybe 5 years before they need to be
Oh,
replaced.
highways is how old? Yeah, there's over 15 years old. So I think a lot of it has to do with how you taking care of it.
Could easily get 10 by the sounds of things, though.
I would say
With
we're
good
usually
care.
looking at 10 years. And I mean, the thing is, if we find a place where we can store it out of the weather from the winter, over the highway garage and the back, the overhang in the back. If you keep it out of the weather as much as possible, I think you'd increase the life quite a bit. So it's a matter of, like anything, if you take care of it, it should last you, a decent amount of time.
That $6,000 one, you said it doesn't have, what powers it? Is it a battery you have to recharge?
Yeah.
And how many hours do they must give you an idea how long it'll run on a charge?
Let's see if the information has that. It's a lot of information, but I didn't see that. It says the capacity of the battery, and it's an average battery charge for the whole. It says it lasts 7 days depending on use. I mean, I could get a little more information on that. It just seems to me that if you have all of these units that are within a certain price range and all of a sudden you get one that's low ball, that kind of sets off alarm bells with me. I mean, I could ask around and see who has them in that particular model. The central equipment, we deal with them all the time.
$10,000 sets off bells with me when
Oh,
I had my
absolutely.
heart set on
It's set off,
$5,500.
set off bells with me too, believe me. So, but I can certainly get more information on that particular model and see who's using them and what their success rate is. But like I said, when you're that much below what everybody else the average is, it just kind of makes me a little bit leery. But certainly look into it.
The thing is that if we're going to get 2 years out of it, then that's really only $1,000 a year for all the service that we could give in the summer, fall. If you think that level is not quite as bad.
Oh, okay.
To be different, I think, that if it only had a 2 or 3 year price.
Refresh my memory, if you will, Chief, on the smart versus the dumb one, which I think is the difference between the 12 and the 10 and the 6. Did you say something like that you could qualify perhaps for grants, but the underlying assumption was that you had to have smart data to back up some of this information?
My experience with grants, as far as things I've educated myself on, is a lot of these grants are looking for feedback and they're looking for data. So the more you can overwhelm them with, the better off you are, the more you can give them. Because if you go in there and say, okay, we've got a speeding problem, they'll say, well, what is it? What do you have for information? And say, oh, well, I see the cars driving fast, or people tell me they're driving fast. As opposed to being able to go and get a computer printout and saying between 6:30 a.m. and 8 a.m., and 5 o'clock and 6 p.m. in the afternoon, we have a speeding problem on Main Street or Cape Street or whatever. The more information you can provide, the better chance you have of being able to obtain a grant. So really, for our purposes and making sure that we're putting this, not only the trailer where we need it, and following that up with directed traffic enforcement as well. The more information you have, the better off.
So it really would give you information so you could target where your officer hours need to be as far as.
Right, I'll give you an example. Last week after our meeting, the next day I got a letter complaining about speeding on Buckland Road. Now, Diane sat on Buckland Road a lot. I've sat out there, my other officers have sat out there, and we don't see a speeding problem. We haven't seen a speeding problem. So if it's occurring when we're not there. So by being able to take that trailer and put it out there and get the speeds, and it just could be a bad sense of timing. We're not out there when it's happening. And then of course you have the helpful citizens that like to flash their headlights at people when they see a police officer ahead. So that tends to skew the results a little bit. Whereas if you have the trailer,
That's a big club. We've ordered jackets.
I had one, I was coming in the cruiser, and my husband was sitting up and coming through Buckland, and he was sitting up in his cruiser, and they're flashing lights, like flashing blue lights at us. And I'm like,
It's possible that because they see you, they slow down.
yeah, that's possible. I mean, so it's hard to tell. I mean, you can find hiding spots, but the problem with the hiding spot is you still have to be able to use the radar with clear sight. So you're not always able to get where you need to get to do that. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of times you're looking to just basically educate people and get them to slow down and thinking, oh, the police are out here, I should slow down. So, you're not always necessarily looking at that people. But, there are those that just don't care. I mean, I can park up by the school and, people aren't afraid to go by, at a pretty excessive rate of speed. like I said, if we're able to get good information and then we can, with some smart deployment, follow up on what we put out before. I think to get a little bit more bang for the buck that way.
And you would feel that you'd be able to do that with the one that's on that bid for 9368?
Yeah, any of those models. Like I said, I can check on that other one, the cheaper one, just to see exactly what I get for that. But you go for the Volkswagen as compared to the Cadillac, it's not always the best. And I don't disparage Volkswagens in case somebody else.
But if you can't download any information, then you can't deploy it smart like you're talking about, or even deploy the
Right.
sensors and the vehicles.
Yeah, and basically what that sign does is you put it out there for information purposes, and then, but you don't really have the information to be able to say, okay, I have a speeding problem on Buckland Road, or I have a speeding problem on Main Street, or I have a speeding problem on Spruce Corner. So, and then when you go for grants down the road, the state has traffic enforcement grants, which we are behind the 8 ball in being able to apply for them because we don't have the information. And we certainly don't have the activity as far as accidents and pedestrian accidents and things like that. But if we go to the state and say, hey, look, we have a major speeding problem on, on weekends with motorcycles or whatever, then we can go for those grants. And as long as we provide the information, then we're more likely to at least be able to get something to help us with the additional personnel.
I certainly can see the value of the unit. What I am pretty sure of, if we go out and buy one, our chances of getting any grant money to buy it will be greatly diminished. And I was just wondering if we shouldn't, and it's for us to decide, of course, but if we should just make this a high priority, but ask you to get some grant money coming for it before we go out and buy it. I mean, this is the second week that we've been discussing it, and it seems to me that it might be a bit
Question I would have, if we had it, and we had statistics, what is it we could apply for with grant money that would be in addition to this if we had already purchased this? What other things might we be able to apply for that we would then have statistics for besides another?
Most of it would be traffic enforcement grant for manpower. So those are typically matching grants. So basically, if I put an officer out for 10 hours, the state will match another 10 hours. So because this is additional personnel on the road, those are typically manpower matching grants.
Okay.
There is some equipment you can get. I mean, there are some grant pedestrian safety, for example. That particular grant, you can get some equipment. So things like the signs you put in crosswalks, which are very expensive. I think they're about $500–600 a piece. It's ridiculous. So things like that, you might be able to get that type of equipment if you have statistics to back you up. You could get another speed trailer if you needed it. I mean, I don't think we need two.
So back to the manpower one, that was interesting.
Yeah, right, but you're thinking that grant availability for the first trailer?
The first trailer, I think as I told you, Maya has grants. They have a $10,000 one and they have a $5,000 one. I believe the radar trailer could probably come in under the $10,000 one. They have to probably tweak it a little bit, but...
And that's the one you were talking about last week, that you need to get the paperwork in right after the 1st of July.
No, yeah, exactly, because that was the one where the highway department got a trailer and there was a little communications gap here. And we were unaware that they had applied for it. So when we put I spent a pretty decent amount of time on the grant paperwork and this, and the guy said, hey, you did a great job, but unfortunately you guys already got one. So, it's good practice. But as I said, there's two. There's one under emergency grant, and then there's also another area. So they both fall under risk and liability. That's why the insurance company offers it, because you're out there trying to lower the exposure of the town. And you know what? You're out there being aggressive with your enforcement efforts, and you know, you get your speeding under control and things like that. From the standpoint of the insurance company looking at the town's risk, they would probably look upon that favorably, and they'd say that we were out there trying to, you know, get people slowed down and help our residents live long and prosperous lives.
Ron, what's your
Well,
feeling on this?
I'm really on both sides of the line on it. Last summer, I remember residents coming before the town, the select board, saying, you gotta be here, there are motorcycles going all up and down, they're going crazy with speed and this and that. I was at an annual town meeting when, you know, you got your legs cut out from under you on a budget a little bit there, where the town also spoke very clearly. I guess I would say whatever helps you do your job best, especially in this sort of position that you're in where the town has most recently spoken, makes sense. But I also see the value in getting a 50% grant and then having a special town meeting and maybe doing something at that point, you know. So I'm listening now, and I see the value in both things. I really do, because that's a person with the radar, you know, right now. And if you have the machine, it frees that person up to be doing other, perhaps more responsible things.
Right, and as I said, I mean, you could put that trailer out there for a week. You know, you can't have a cop out there for a week because it's, you know,
Right.
from a financial standpoint. We have the radar trailer out there for a week. It helps you build data and acquire that. And then you can say, okay, we don't have a problem on Main Street, but we do have a problem somewhere else. We'll put our people out there. It just helps us do our job a little bit smarter.
The other thing I like about it, personally, I've seen them in Conway and different places, is it's a friendly way to get people who just aren't paying attention with that vehicle. And it's a little different when you're pulled over by a police officer and you say, you're speeding, you say, yeah, I know, and here it comes, you know, but it's like, dang, I gotta remember that speed limit. And every time I go through Ashfield, it should be 30 miles an hour, not, you know, 35 or something like that. And so it's a nice, friendly reminder. I don't know how effective they are.
Right, and statistically they are actually effective, and the good thing about it is, and I mentioned this way back when I originally interviewed for my position, traffic enforcement is supposed to be educational in nature. You're supposed to teach people to comply with the law, comply with the speed limits and things like that. What the traffic trailer does for you is it kind of does it, like you said, it's a gentle reminder without getting, you know, a ticket and having to go to court. And people appreciate that. And there's also the unknown that some of these come equipped with cameras, and people think that when they get, you know, when it says you're speeding or whatever, because you can get, there's different versions of this where it gets lights that flash and it goes crazy. And people are under the impression that they just got nailed and they're going to get a ticket. So that also helps with compliance.
It's not like going through the fast lane without a pass.
In the group of trailers that's between $9,000 and $10,000, the one you were talking about, 9368, if we cut a check today, how soon can they deliver, or how soon can we pick it up?
It's at NHQ, which is out in Marlboro.
They're available.
They're probably available. I have to call and ask them. Because being the end of the fiscal year, I think probably when anybody who has extra money would be looking for those. So a possibility it wouldn't be right away, but I think the turnaround would be pretty short in a couple of weeks.
So this is an item that basically works 24/7, sits there doing its monitoring, sort of advising people as they go by.
Right.
I still think we should try more. I think if you got it, you could get some statistics. Maybe there's some other things you could then apply for the statistics would help with. And I remember one time we were trying to get some special crossing, I don't know what they were called. They were cones? They weren't just cones. Well, those, were they yellow for walking? And they were different kind of
The sign.
sign advice to people to be careful.
Right.
And I remember I thought you tried for a grant once on those.
Right.
And we didn't get
There
there.
are
So,
some in town here on.
Right.
I think the hardware store bought one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, realistically, along with the crosswalks being painted, from a pedestrian safety standpoint, you should have those crosswalks with those signs, because, I mean, you see them a mile away. But they're expensive, I think they're about $500 a piece. They're not cheap.
So if we didn't do the trailer, maybe we could apply for some of those, for safety reasons, but then you maybe have some statistics from the trailer to back up.
Right, because I mean, really, the only crosswalks we have.
Right, right.
Well, I'm somewhere in the middle, because if we're gonna have a special town meeting, at this point, I would probably be in favor of appropriating $5,000 for a unit in anticipation of a grant, getting a grant to pay for the rest of it.
Are they usually 50/50?
If we got a $5,000 grant, there would be.
Yeah, I mean, these.
And a
these
lot of
grants-
times they're matching grants.
Yeah, these grants from Maya were not matching grants, I don't believe. I believe it was just from a liability standpoint, they were, I don't know, payment grants. They were, like I said, there was 1 for 5 and 1 for 10.
Bill, you've got something to add?
Yeah, the statistics you can get for free. The Council of Governments has traffic counting devices which they will put out for free, and it gives you counts, types of vehicles, and speed. They'll put them out and leave them out for a week. You get this whole complete printout of everything that's going down the road. And if you put it at 2 or 3 different places, you can find out everything that this sign will give you, and it costs you nothing. So you could start with that instead of spending all this money.
Well, it's not gonna give us the speed.
Yeah,
This is the tapes that go across the road.
it's actually 2 or 3, so the speed at which they trip one after the other tells you how fast the vehicle is going to 1 or 2 miles an hour.
It doesn't really deter people to stay with them.
No, it doesn't deter, but if you're looking to build a case that you've got a speeding problem, and you don't want to let people know that either a police car is watching or this sign is keeping, nobody pays attention to those things, you'll really get a sense of whether people are speeding or not. All you have to do is request the equipment from the council, and they'll set it up on when it's available.
We did that last year. They put it out on Main Street, and I think they put it out on Spruce Corner. All we got from them was traffic counts. We didn't get speeds, and it took us, I think, 9 months to get it out here. So it's a great program, and it is free, as Bill said, but it's not something where it's timely. So if I ask for it now, I would be lucky if I could get it before the end of the year. Just last time it was about an 8 or 9 month wait, and they only gave us traffic counts. We didn't get speeds.
Because the reports that I got had speed.
So,
I'm still in favor of getting it, if we can get one now, and get it out on Main Street. Now, I can hear the traffic a lot of the times, and you can hear when it's going faster than when it's going what is supposed to be posted out there.
I stopped a vehicle this weekend, 51 miles an hour down the street.
I believe it.
if you can hear them coming down Main Street, if you just hear something coming down Main Street, it's going over the speed limit.
Well, certain traffic
It's
I
a
hear,
very-
but you can tell that it's higher than it belongs. It's just noisier.
I say let's put it before the town. If we're gonna have a special town meeting, let's put it before the town. I mean, it's a high-profile area. The cost of one accident is a significant thing, both the health and property, and let the town make a decision on it.
And there's other areas, I think, we've had calls for I remember over the past couple of years, different sections of town where different times of day, they're aware that the traffic.
Williamsburg Road is one. We were getting complaints on your street when the construction was going on 116. Which just like figure out why anybody would use that as a shortcut. But, so I mean, we do get complaints. I mean, primarily it's Bachman Road every year, and like I said, I've never seen it. Diane's never seen it.
They don't use
And
it
Main
as a
Street.
shortcut, they will go up to see what new landscaping was doing.
But you know, those are the streets we get, Conway Road was, we get something down there. It's,
There's some sections out west, not Creamery Road, but
Conway Road.
I'm on the wrong part of town, out by Watson Spruce Corner or Cummington.
Cummington Road, yeah, that's another one.
It's a nice road.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
So, Mary mocked up a town meeting warrant, special town meeting warrant, Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer up to blank from vocational school expenses to an account to be established for the purpose of purchasing a police department traffic speed trailer.
The wording just before the dollar amount we go, was it up to? Up
So,
to 9,500?
I wouldn't go, I mean, if you're gonna get the smart one, get the smart one. I'm afraid that if you get the 95, that the difference is the software or some capability that makes
cost
hardship.
$3,000
Yeah,
taken
exactly.
out later.
Yeah, and so, I'd be a little bit more liberal with it. If you're gonna go with the dumb one, go with the dumb one, but don't go too light on this one. It's up to, right?
Up to.
Someone seems like we're not getting enough for our money.
No, I wouldn't.
2/3 of the way there.
Well, just the way you're referring to it doesn't sound right.
So,
Two different purposes.
and if it's gonna last us 10 years, roughly $1,000 a
Well,
year.
if they buy it, it better last 20 years. Dump truck lasts 20 years.
I think,
I was just using that because it's
yeah,
even easy math.
What is realistic on a price that you could hit? Is 10,000, is 11,000, 25?
I think 10 should be more than enough. As you saw, the prices are all in under that, and there's obviously, being a municipality, there's no tax on top of that.
Are there annual subscriptions to software that we don't know?
That I don't know, I can check into that, but I don't believe so.
Okay.
Did not appear that way. And from what I understand, one of these versions actually comes with a PDA that you can plug in and download and
Nice.
download into the computer. So there's all kinds of different bells and whistles for these things. It depends what you want and how technical you want to get. So, I mean, he demonstrated. I had a demo on it last year. It was a really good system, and that was the sign that hung on the pole. But they also have a version that goes on the trailer, and that had the PDA. And that's all included.
And these are all solar ones, right? So you don't have to worry about batteries and charging and all that.
As long as you don't park it under a tree.
Yeah,
Right.
with the sun stops.
Oh, I don't make a motion. Would you move forward on this?
The one with solar, does it still come with a battery? Because in case you have a...
Yeah, it has
3
to
days
hold
of-
the charge.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they've got it.
Yes. I make a motion that we include on a special town meeting warrant to see if the town will vote to transfer up to $10,000 from vocational expenses to an account to be established for the purpose of purchasing a police department traffic speed trailer.
I'll second that.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. I'm for putting it before the town and that sort of thing. I still am a little on the fence, wondering if we should jump in front of it or really make it a priority to get some grant. We've been 200 and some odd years without one, and to think that we have to jump out in front of it in 3 weeks' notice to buy one. I'm not sure.
If we had a section of town where you thought that they should bring in that device that counts the vehicles again that you were mentioning and that Bill was mentioning, we could always put that in another area of town that perhaps it has not yet been in.
Anything else, Chief?
I think that's all I had, Bill.
I have something. It's not on the speed trailer though. I don't know if I can. I've been trying to put together a police association for a while now. I've gotten a lawyer to look at it because it's quite the paperwork. I've gotten a lawyer to look at it and asked if he could help me with it. He suggested going to a lawyer that handles that kind of stuff. And of course that's going to be a little bit out of our budget range. But what we want to do with the police association, like today, we had safety day at the school, and you have allotted some money for us, but if you could do some fundraising things and make some money of the police department itself, we could buy the educational things. This weekend, I put in 4 hours at $16 an hour to copy pamphlets on swimming safety and bicycle safety. I ran out of 2 or 3 ink cartridges at 130 apiece, and not to mention my wages, plus I went through 4 reams of paper to do it. So we would have something to give the kids today.
Sounds like it would have been cheaper to drop it off at Staples.
Might have been, but
Here we are.
here we are. So I would like to know if we could go to town council and have them look at the paperwork or do that, or if something can be done to try to make this association so we can make some money for ourselves instead of always coming to you and asking for money.
I did try to muddle through the paperwork. It's like that kind of, if you ever apply for a nonprofit, it's, courtesy of the IRS, they make things so easy for you.
It
So
may get easier.
maybe we just tell them we're not gonna do it.
Well, how complicated is the Firemen's Association? We have a very, very successful firemen's.
And that's what we're trying to emulate.
We tried to do what they do, and we're told by, I believe, legal counsel that we can't use the tax exempt number from town.
I mean, the Firemen's Association, isn't that just kind of everybody slaps each other on the back and says, good job?
We don't let the IRS know.
And if we can't use.
We have no number.
If we can't use the tax ID number, we need a tax ID number.
You had a police association for years and years and years for all I know it still exists.
Yes, it's been disbanded, I checked.
Yeah, we tried to see if that was still active and found out that it was,
Everything's done.
disbanded or whatever. But that was, I think it was a while ago, right?
Yeah.
See, I mean, I try not to make things really complicated. I figure
I
that
started
an
to-
association like this for, is just, it's like putting the Lions Club through a nightmare.
I know, I tried non-complicated to
Yes,
start
you
with.
did,
Yeah, I mean,
it was
it's
about a
really
year ago, you said you were
not
going to do a fundraiser, and in the process of just checking to make sure if she could receive money, that's the answer we came up with was, and maybe things have tightened up.
I tried going to a free lawyer that would help me, and he was like, I don't want to touch this, after he had it for a couple of weeks, and I've just been trying to muddle through it, and I can't.
I have a friend of mine that just graduated from, just passed the bar at Mass, and I was actually going to see if she'd take a look at it, just to see if it's something that she could handle.
But I don't know even if that's something that town council can do for us, I mean, our town council, or?
Why don't you see if you can get some free advice
Free
somewhere
advice.
on what this is? I mean,
Like I said, I tried going through it, and I'm kind of okay with dealing with this stuff, but I mean, some of it's pretty complicated.
Maybe Mass Chief says some help.
Did I ask them?
I think we did,
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think I reached out to them.
We've gone through
No,
everything.
they
why don't you take your time and
Right. It would just be, for these events like today, and then when we do say the toys around Christmas and things like that, to be able to
collect donations.
do this without having to get, worry about muddy in the water. And that's something I want to keep it separate, as much as we can, so.
I mean, the last police association, it was years ago and things were different then, but I mean, there were probably 8 or 10 people involved in the police department and they all lived in town.
Yeah.
And so it really was kind of a community
Right.
deal.
And they started to overcomplicate these, because of all the fundraising.
I think it's probably an appropriate idea. I mean, you have them everywhere, friends of the library, and, not-for-profits that assist the others. And I would think that, Mary, you could ask town council what it would cost to do something like this. Like, just get a quote.
Yeah.
And then my suggestion would be, get it on the agenda so that people can see it and they can come and speak to it. We'll have a quote in hand. You know, and it's a quote for them to set this up for you, you know, maybe it's all boilerplate stuff and it can happen real quick and go from there. But I'd get it posted. I think it's important enough to get it posted on the agenda and see where it goes or it doesn't go. You know, just...
And as I said, I'm going to check with my attorney firm and see if it's something she'd be willing to take on, if she can, or if she can point me in that direction.
Paula, what's your late comments?
Mom's going to put about putting it on the agenda, if they can get any assistance. I think if Mary asked town council what it might cost to look at something like that, at least ballpark figure, that's not a bad idea, just to have some inkling of what it might be.
I wonder if it's as much a town council deal as it is going to an accountant like the auditor or something to get that information.
Or maybe she
If it has to do with the IRS, I'm almost thinking that, you know, they can punch up a nonprofit or any kind of tax ID number pretty quick. Not a tax exempt, but
and town council might know where better to look.
Mary, you want to maybe put that on your list? That'd be a quick email to
Yep,
Donna.
and I can start by asking her if it should be someone else.
Right, who should we contact if this question has come up? And then why don't we put, months are flying by here, so why don't we figure on either our last meeting in July or our first meeting in August?
24th, oh, in July, okay.
July or August. We're gonna switch to every other week here in July.
You don't want to spend every...
July and August. All right? All right, thank you.
That's all we got. Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna move forward with that.
Thank you.
Doug, we got a quick one here.
I hope so. I spoke to you people a while ago, quite a few weeks ago, about see if we could find someone, a younger person, to be able to help me out on emergency manager, and down the road sometime, no time limit, take over emergency manager. And I asked Don Taylor, and he said that he would do it, and I would like to have you people appoint him to assistant emergency manager to work with me down the road sometime when he feels comfortable, when I feel comfortable, and if he wants to, he can take over emergency manager.
Trying to fill the stable.
What's that?
You're trying to fill the stable. So after a year or so, we might hear Kyle's voice on the...
That's right.
What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, he asked me and I said I would help him out.
Get a feel for it.
Yeah. A couple of years to take over.
Would it make sense in the future at that point in time, let's say when Doug is no longer doing it, to have an assistant? Always, as opposed to doing it all by yourself, so there's somebody to team up with, or so if you leave town, there's somebody else there. Just a thought, question.
It probably will be down the road. I mean, the way the weather is nowadays, it's getting, as we all know, every time we turn around, there's something popping up. And it probably will be down the road.
Ron?
Thanks, Kyle, for even considering this, and Doug for bringing it to us. Are you familiar with emergency preparedness at all? I mean, have you taken, just dumb questions, have you taken any of the ICS courses?
No.
I didn't even know about them before I stepped on this board, and then we had one very enlightened citizen who shared with me, and I learned a lot, and I learned how much I don't know about this, and it's a fast-moving topic, and do you have any background? I see you volunteer for a million things in town, but do you have any background in this sort of thing at all?
No, not really.
No, not really. So it's just an interest in it?
Yeah.
I'm very sure that working with myself, that Kyle will be able to pick this up a little far as the ISC stuff, yeah, you'll have to do that, but that's online.
Oh, yeah.
And that's nothing that has to be done at this home. I mean, I have everything that emergency manager has to have for the IC.
Yes.
That's the concern, so that does not have to come right now. It just can come
I just think it's a good overview, Doug. I mean, it tells how people plug into the system, you know, and I just had, you guys, I talked to you a little bit, Paulette, have you gone through the ICS training? They suggest that we do, that the political arm of government go through that because it really enlightens them on this thing. And I'll tell you, I suggest that both of you do it. I think it's very important.
I didn't want over talking.
Okay, sorry.
No, you were talking, he was asking a question, but I didn't want to answer. I hadn't done it, we had talked about it, because we were going to attend another class, and we...
Yeah, it was demolition or something like
But I
that.
think you did number, what, 100 and 200? There was, because one you said...
No, it
was
skips,
about-
it's like 100 and 700 or
Oh,
something like
It's
that.
actually 1, 2, and 7 that you
1, 2, and
should
7?
all look at.
But it really, I always used to think that the emergency management system depended on just one person. I mean, it has this hierarchy, but it has all sorts of plugins. And from a financial person to get reimbursed is a big plugin. And then you have your public relations people plug in. And the report and there's a lot to it. And I don't want to minimize it. I'll tell you that the first one you can do with your eyes closed in about half hour, 45 minutes. But the second one is really a 4-hour sort of online thing that that had me, you know, had me wondering if I was going to pass it, this little test at the end. But I did. And I strongly suggest you both do it.
Does it let you stop and then...
Oh,
or do you have to
absolutely.
sit for...
I had to actually download it and do it somewhere else and then come back to it, you know, and stuff like that, so go ahead.
July and August might be good.
So I'm all set with you, Kyle. I just, it's a very serious thing, and I had no idea about it before I took this, and I think it's good.
I mean, this is really evolved from the old civil defense directors, right?
Just about what...
Mrs. Rena.
No, actually,
They're right there.
actually, the ICS system was derived out of firefighting, nationwide firefighting.
It's mostly all for firefighters. There is the 800 that's for emergency manager. Well, I had pointed back there. MEMA's coming after those Geiger counters that we've had upstairs in the firehouse for 20, 30 years, I think. So I think Walt Zalewski bought them and he's fire police chief. So emergency management is coming to pick them up.
Well, there's a lot to learn, and a lot of parts of town that everybody kind of has to work together in those situations, so. Just, there's no term, you know, I mean, I suppose it's an annual appointment, but if you're uncomfortable with it, don't let it turn into a sentence.
Just the codes when the alarm goes off in town upstairs.
That's going to get changed. We're going to change the codes for that.
Okay, because they're on the website.
Yes, we're going to change the codes.
There's a couple.
Just a couple, that's all, just a couple.
All right, is there a motion to appoint Kyle Assistant Emergency Management Director?
So move. Kyle Taylor.
Okay. You know how to spell that? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. It's unanimous. Welcome aboard. Thank you. All right, Doug, did you have anything else?
No, just that we went with, Del and I talked, and we are going to change just a couple codes on the siren. Mainly, we have no codes at this time. If there's a tornado coming, we have nothing. We are going to change just a couple so townspeople will know what's going on.
You need to publicize.
Yeah.
Yes, it will be publicized. What we're going to do is take the first one that's for the Ashfield Lake right now, because that one just reads steadily, and that'll be for the tornado. for people to take here. And then I think it's what, number 3, the hazardous material spill will go on as the lake. It will be publicized.
I haven't really paid a bit of attention to it since I didn't care about no school. What was it used to be? One long ring for no
Run
school?
along with the school. With what's going
That was
on
a
now,
number of years
and
ago.
everything, we thought that we did have that one quick episode that where people screamed that there was a tornado ready to touch down in Plainfield, and we didn't have time enough to say anything. We could have hit that if people would know what it was all about.
Okay. Dell?
Possible had one out there in Watson Spruce Farm, like Tom
Yeah.
Crumbs.
And we did have a small one that touched down out Watson Spruce Road too.
Well, sometimes you can't. We're getting rid of that other fire truck, right? The old one?
Yeah.
When you say publicized, were you thinking of
Huh?
like Ashfield News?
Yes.
So it's a series of sounds, I mean, it's like Morse code, it's long, short, short, short.
The one long, steady, continuous ring will be for a tornado.
And what are there's 2 or 3 others that,
The others is, well, what it is 5 codes.
Structure fire.
Yeah, there's 6 for structure fire, 5 for brush fire, 3 for hazmat spill, which we will change to.
oh, okay. Yeah, I'm curious, I didn't know that.
And then the 2 is a Saturday noon test.
You get your new codes and get things set up so people know what it is, and why don't you get that in the Ashfield News? I mean, it used to be in the
Phone book.
phone book.
It's in the phone book and it's on the web too, and we'll make sure it's everywhere.
Thanks.
Yeah, we're trying to get together. The reason I asked you about the fire truck is we're gonna try to get together a whole list of property or things that we want to get and advertise them all at one time.
Yeah, we got some stuff in the new truck. Took the back seat out, that new truck, and the front bumper off, and then put that heavy duty bumper on, so that's something to sell too, that's up on highway. I'll make a list up for you.
Get us a list.
Is there anybody interested in the old truck?
A lot of people are for free, but they want to take some. Someone will take a pump on it, make put a wooden bed on it, make a nice pickup out of it.
Well, they can bid with everybody else.
Right.
Okay. Anything else?
That one doesn't have to be speeding to here on Main Street.
No. All right, well, thank you. Thank you kindly. Bill Perlman. All right, let's go over these memorandums of agreement for the communication system.
Right. This is about as simple as it can possibly get. I don't quite understand.
It looks pretty boilerplate.
Well, I mean, there's a system out there which was purchased with Homeland Security money, built and is operating, and the council of governments owns the system. In an effort to run the system, we set up a committee which is comprised of police, fire, ambulance, the sheriff's department, Tri-State Mutual Aid, a member of the Council of Governments, I think is the voting members of that. And we meet monthly and discuss whatever needs to be discussed about the system. You know, this air conditioner broke, should we spend money to get a new one, or whatever. From that up to bigger issues like how do we solve Ashfield's dead spots. So what this says is, and all of the towns, and it's more than just towns, are members of this system, because this does all of our dispatching. So in addition to the towns themselves, there are also fire districts, which are not the same boundary lines as towns. The sheriff's office kicks in, Greenfield, which doesn't use it, kicks in. Any of the out of area ambulance services pay in. And those are generally paid by the towns that they serve, like Highland or Amherst, Covers, Leverett, Turners Falls Fire District, Deerfield Fire District, Shelburne Fire District, Shelburne Falls Fire District. Those are all fire districts as opposed to towns. So they're all members, they're all charged. And we do a charging thing based on population. It's pretty straightforward. So what this thing says is the council has the responsibilities of owning the system, insuring it, maintaining it, making expenditures that the committee suggests, maintaining all of the radio licenses. There are a lot of frequencies involved with this, what with radios and microwave links, and every one of those frequencies has to be licensed by the FCC. And the other thing we do is we give people an assessment every year as to what their piece of the money is. The committee...
And that's based on population, you said?
Based on population. So, you know, the responsibility of the committee, which it said here, is sort of an operating procedure or bylaw, which is an attachment that you have. And we review the costs and we maintain, you know, we watch them monthly. The responsibility of the town is basically to use the system. You have to supply your own radios, but they were all bought for you by the same similar Homeland Security grants. You pay an annual user's fee. If there's a problem, you see a problem, you report it. You comply with the operating procedures, and if you want to get out of it, you give us a year's notice, and then you won't have any emergency communications. So that's basically it. I mean, I can't see what other issues there might be, but somebody asked me to come here, so here I am.
Why do we have two of them to sign? One from Franklin County and one from Hampshire County?
You have...
They're identical, except for saying Hampshire County.
Hampshire County, I think it's probably based on mutual aid.
Since we're contacting Goshen.
You have Plainfield, Cummington, Goshen, Williamsburg, all on a semi-regular basis respond here. And Hampshire County responds. I mean, all of these agreements are identical, all 26 towns. So you have Amherst Ambulance, you have one or two other Hampshire County ambulance services which are also part of this. So they're probably covering themselves that way. Okay?
Doug?
We have to, in the fire trucks, we have to have, we are running under Hampshire County's licenses to talk to Goshen and Plainfield.
Right.
We have radios in every fire truck that can talk, that's under Hampshire County.
Separate radio?
Yes.
To talk to
Yes.
the other counties?
Yeah, because you can't fit both. They're different frequency banks, so you can't fit them both in the same radio. In the same way that Highland and Amherst and some of the fire departments down there have radios that will talk to Franklin County when they respond. I remember one fire, Doug had me running up and down the street because we couldn't talk to them. And so me being useless doing anything else, Doug said, go down there and tell them we're going to move this over here, you know. And now we can talk to each other, so good.
So now what are they going to be doing?
No, nothing. I direct traffic. I have a yellow vest. On your fire, I actually ran a pump for 8 hours. That was fun. So at any rate, it's a big, huge system and a very tiny little agreement. And Ashfield seems to be the only one that hasn't signed it.
Any other questions?
I have a couple. Bill, this has been around for a while. We've signed this in the past, I assume. Every year, boom, it just gets
No,
done.
every 3 years, I think.
but it's been signed before.
Oh, yeah.
So if it's come before this board, it's been signed. The second thing is just a little tangential. What is the status? You came and reported to the board on the upgrade, and I don't mean a full detail thing.
No,
Just-
we've done coverage maps from the Plainfield Tower. We redid them because we didn't trust the one we had, which we thought might be a little optimistic, but they turned out to be virtually the same. For a while there, the price of the equipment seemed to jump way up. And so I said, find some way to get around this so I can report back, because I'm not telling them this. And at our last radio committee, a regular on our agenda is Ashfield dead spots, and the report on that is still dead. But what I got back from our system manager was that we're getting equipment, more equipment from Berkshire County than we thought, or different types of equipment, so that we'll be able to replace more. So the price is now coming back down. Berkshire County, I think, is supposed to have their system up and running by the end of this month. So that's when the equipment will free up. That's when we'll do a look at what we have, what we need, and I'll be able to come back to the price.
Okay, thanks.
How large are these dead spots? I mean, the
Big.
size of the building, the size of the...
No, the one that we're talking about is the size of the southwest corner of Ashfield. Basically from,
No, almost the whole street.
yeah,
In Cape Street.
And Cape Street, and then there's some down the mountain valley.
from 112 west and from Watson Spruce Corner south, and actually a little further north than that. It's big, and it's bad. And I've been pushing for years, and finally I've gotten some response that we're going to fix it.
Is it dead in Plainfield? Is it dead in Plainfield too?
We don't know because Plainfield doesn't use this system. They're not in Franklin County.
But we've been mutual aid and been dead spots for.
Yeah.
But we're addressing it, or the committee is addressing
Yep.
it.
Bill, do I recall that there was a proposal to do a test of a piece of equipment at the dump to check
Yeah.
out that area?
Right. Well, that has to do with another dead spot, largely Buckland's. And I'm not sure what's happening with that. It was supposed to be done last fall. We didn't get around to it, and leaves fell off the trees, and there was no point in doing it then because you want worst case scenario. Now he's supposed to be doing it. I got a meeting coming up this Thursday, I think, so I'll find out what the status is. But there's a repeater that started its life in the steeple of Mary Lyon Church and then moved to the fire station in Buckland, where it's still not doing what it wants, and now they want to get a little extra height, so they're going to try to put it up around the transfer station in Ashfield. They wanted Ashfield to supply a backup generator for it, and I said no, that since we are getting equipment for a bunch of other towns, they can get their own backup generator. So,
One of the reasons the dead spots became so critical was they knew, but it was discovered, shall I say, that for a long time, the fire department had to use their cell phones in the dead spots, or they couldn't have radio communication. So you had radios at some spots, personal cell phones in others, and it just, so Bill came
well, I mean, there are some areas in
to
which
address it.
neither of them work.
I would think so.
So, but in theory, I mean, one of the things we're looking for is uniformity throughout the system. It used to be that each individual helicopter that would fly in, whether it was Life Flight or one of the others, used different channels. Now, everybody is the same. If you got a helicopter coming in, you know what channel, they know what channel to tune to, we know what channel to tune to. The fire departments are pretty good at following the procedures. Police departments are not. I mean, I don't know whether it's training or basic intelligence. I'm not going to try to figure it out, but the police departments are hopeless. We have 2 channels that talk, you can talk on them, they go through the whole count. Everybody can hear them, called simulcast channels. Next step down is regional channels, which cover a smaller area. There are regional channels in Shelburne, in Buckland, in Borden Mountain, you know, various different towers. And then after that, you have just radio to radio, which are TAC channels. In addition to that, you've got medical channels and Western Mass law enforcement communication systems, WEMLAC, and a lot of these people don't know how to tune radios. They don't know how to change
It's
channels.
on there.
Huh?
They're talking and somebody's listening, that's what they care about.
Well, sometimes that works. And sometimes they're talking and
Nobody cares.
nobody cares. But the point is that that area of town, there's always going to be dead spots. In a hilly community like this, in any of the towns, there's always going to be some problems. But this one's big, and the thing is that it's solvable. There's already a tower there. State police, the tower's owned by Northeast Utility. They're willing to let us put an antenna on it. The state police are using the tower, and they have a microwave link, and they're willing to let us take a channel of them, a couple of channels of their microwave link to piggyback on that. They have an emergency generator. They have a building. So there's not a lot that we need to
So
put
do you
in.
expect it to be addressed in the next 6 months? Anybody have, yes?
So,
These radios, there are 113 channels just programming them. I'm supposed to be able to talk to Boston, but I can't even talk to my own town. That's how complicated they are. They're not meant for the mountains.
yeah, I mean, it's,
It's like TVs, there's 787 channels and nothing to watch.
yeah, no. Here we got these and there's nothing to say, so.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
That we sign this and get it off?
I'll make a motion to get it on the table and sign the thing, but I make a motion that we sign the 2 contracts entitled, but one from Hampshire Council and the other from FERCog, I believe.
The memorandum of agreement.
Memorandum of agreement relative to the Emergency Communication System Oversight Committee and the system associated with.
Motion? Second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, quickly, thanks for coming. Last week I had a lot of questions. I didn't know if this thing was signed before personally, and having you come here answered a lot of my questions on that. So thanks, Bill.
Anything else, Paul?
Nothing's on until 9 o'clock. I'm not waiting around for the public comment period.
9 o'clock. O'Reilly's on now.
I said,
No other discussion. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
nothing rational is on until 9 o'clock.
What do you mean?
WAMC is doing a fundraiser and they're giving away a crank radio, and my definition of that is that it only plays Rush Limbaugh.
There you go.
All right, signing this?
Right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's good.
Hey, Bill?
Bill?
When's our next fair meeting?
Wednesday. Hang on.
Stay in touch with us on this upgrade.
Oh, yeah. I mean, as soon as there's anything to, I mean,
Yeah.
as soon as we know. Yeah, it's Wednesday at 7 at the fairgrounds.
Thank you.
Can we expect it?
I'm gonna do my best. All right, that was good. Put that up. David Newell and Poppy Doyle.
Here we go.
Come up where we can hear you.
We're planning on that once Poppy.
Once I get organized, Mr. Chairman.
We're also bringing the cushion.
Only for you, David. I have enough padding. Okay,
How about you? How's this?
wherever you say.
There you go.
Okay.
It's difficult to deal with a hard board, but it's difficult to deal with a hard board and a hard bench at the same time.
There you go.
So we were hoping to get to you a little earlier. We understand your agenda was busy, so this had to be delayed a little bit, and so in the interim.
Yes, last week,
No.
with the business
So I
we had lined
called
up.
you folks, and I spoke to a majority who, on matters of protocols. So several things to report to you tonight. And what was informally discussed, one-on-one, is I think you can look at us as a caretaker government on vocational until such time as something more permanent can be put into place. We talked about this the last time. And so given that, just so that we're all together to make the caretaker government work, pretty simple request, and that is so that we can be effective, we're going to ask that bills relating to vocational, there's really only 3 vendors. There's Smith, Tech, and Cuz Travel. So that they would be run by us, and that's good. I got some email today. We'll have a chance to look at them. I'm going to give them a quick look tomorrow because I was told that it's a warrant week, and I promise you guys quick turnaround. And we've got last month's bills that were paid erroneously, so they need to be corrected. And the bills that have come in that I've looked at are also incorrect. So I spoke with Mary. I'm going to come down here. Welcome to join me. And we're going to work it out. We need to get on the phone with Plainfield, and we need to get on the phone with the contractor, Travel Cuz, get it all straightened out and pay the right amounts. So the request formally now, instead of on the telephone to you individually, is can we, as a working team, have the opportunity to, before anything's paid, to have a look at it to make sure it's right. We also have, as you know, we've got some tuition bills where we have issues, and these need work as well. Thank Paulette for intercepting the bill, and really fine, thank you. So we have that. We have that.
Are we still talking about the same student or another student now?
And we have another student. So we have issues in both schools. Now, one thing I had hoped to get to you tonight, and I didn't mention it on the agenda, and that is that you'll remember that you as a board wrote to the superintendent of Franklin Tech for a student we had living here who was out of town. And we had initially been told that the student was out of town as of April, and now the superintendent mentioned that he had spoken to one of the 2 parents and that the student had actually moved after Christmas break. And we have reason to believe that the student moved earlier. So you will have, I will compose to you a second letter to the superintendent of Franklin Tech, politely asking for further review, asking that the other parent be contacted so that, respectfully, so that the right information can be made. You know, we're looking, at one student for $16,000 a year plus whatever special education fees may apply. This isn't, this is not small change. So within a week, I will give you, Poppy and I will review it. We'll give you a draft letter. We hope that the last letter we sent had big results and thousands of dollars of savings, and we hope that this letter will be sent if you find it to your liking. The other matter involves another student, and I'm still looking at it carefully, and I will come to you. Now, who do we report to? We have this caretaker government, and I want to talk about that in a moment. We really shouldn't be discussing these matters in the select board because general laws say that the operation of the public schools is under the general charge of the superintendents of the school committees. That's why I feel glad that Poppy's here. I think the reporting has to go both ways in this caretaker government until such time as we have a permanent solution to this. I see it.
Caretaker government is your term.
Right.
Yeah, that's my turn.
That's your term.
Yeah.
Well,
the
I
alternative-
look at it as completely advisory.
Advisory to
And,
the board and to the school committee representatives.
yes,
Until such time as a more permanent solution can be brought into place. Tom, I see this as 3 steps. By general law, the finance committee has authority to investigate, address, examine, and prepare reports for any boards, select board included, on any matter involving fiduciary topics. And this is one such, and that's where this all began. Now, at our last discussion, there was thought about appointing a committee, and as we were all unclear as to what the charge would be, it was thought best to continue the status quo, which is this finance committee in collaboration with the school committee approach toward it. Again, we talked about 3 steps. I think that needs to run until such time.
hold on just a second. Let me clarify one point at a time. Is that the discussion you had with Paulette and Ron?
No, it's a discussion I had with the 3 of you. 2 weeks ago.
The discussion we had 2 weeks ago was that you were going to work together to come up with some kind of charge for this committee.
Well, you also,
and you just changed the channels on that, and I just wondered where that came from.
well, the request you made, Tom, also asked that we have the other angle of this is the 3 other towns, that we have some kind of agreement forged between the 4 towns, Ashfield, Plainfield, Charlotte, and Holland. We are meeting on June 20th. That's going to take some time. It's going to take some time to come up with mutual agreement as to what these 4 towns are going to be doing with their charges and our charge. So in the interim, my understanding was, coming away from the meeting 2 weeks ago, is we'll keep the status quo until such time as we can give you a report, a draft of the charge, and some sense of input from the other 3 towns. I'm pleased to report that joining our committee is I think her name is Beth Bandy.
Beth Bandy.
From a select person from Charlemont.
She just got elected a week ago. She is on the school committee and will be stepping down from that to join this select board over there.
We're hoping to get a select board member from Plainfield. We already have really what's being the 4th select board member, Paula King, who is Mary's comrade, as it were, in Plainfield. And we have Charles Stetson from Holland. So our group is growing. You know, it's very interesting. It was 10 years ago, I went through my files, that I was sitting before the select board going through the very same thing we're going through right now. And a committee was appointed, and that committee was chaired by Lynn Dole, and on the committee was David Newell and Andrea Lamas, who was the administrator of the town. We were starting from scratch. We were dealing with the very same issues we're dealing with right now. A mess in transportation, tuition bills, state report problems, loss of state aid, paying for students who didn't live in the town, etc. And we established a vocational advisory committee, and we established an operating committee for Ashfield to keep an eye on this, working with the school committee. And unfortunately, over the last 10 years, it fell apart. So this time, wisdom tells us, I think, that what we want to do, I think Ron and Mark said this, that we need to implement a more permanent measure that will be automatic, which is to say, one example of that would be an Ashfield school committee. We take our 2 Mohawk reps, and this is something that Poppy and we have to talk with
Emily's
Emily.
pretty busy at
Yeah.
this point.
But to
so-
come up with a model that involves the school committee in some way formally and to reestablish an actual school committee
For both tech schools.
for both tech schools. And there is no oversight right now. There is no oversight. Read my lips. We have no one has any oversight right now. So we have to fix that. And that's what Lindo and Andrea Lamas and I figured out and nailed down 10 years ago. And this time we've got to put together a remedy. So let me go back to the 3 steps. I see a caretaker committee, the finance committee working with the school committee. Finance committee reporting to the school committee reps and reporting to you. When we have issues that come up, for example, like the student, we're going to report to you and say, we have reason to believe we have a problem. We will help you drafting letters. If we have an issue on state reporting or state aid, we're going to report to you with recommended action. If we feel we have a problem with the transportation contract, we're going to take administrative steps to try to make it right. We have the contracts, and when we get bills, as we have now for 2 months in a row, where we're being charged for 80% of the rate, when we should be charged for 20% of the rate, we're going to administratively deal with those issues. I don't think we need to go beyond those. You can trust us that. But we're going to report to you and tell you what we're up to. So far these efforts have gone a long ways, and we got a long ways to go. We got a lot of work to go because we've got to get busing set up for this fall. What are we going to do? And the only smart way to do it is with the advisory committee, with the 4 towns involved. And this fall, starting actually right now, Mohawk's going out to bid for a 5-year contract for busing for the 9 towns. What are we going to do? Are we going to be part of that? Can we go separately? Poppy's has talked to me and she's had discussions. What's the best way for the town of Ashfield?
Here's a question for you. Since we're talking about a committee, probably a 3-person committee, do you feel that we're overshooting when the other towns just seem to want to appoint 1 person? Right? You got 1 person from Charlemont, you got 1 person from Holly, you got 1 person from Plainfield. And here we're talking about a 3-person committee.
Well, bear in mind that Charlemont and Holly are in a different situation than we are. They still have the Charlemont School Committee. They still have the Holly School Committee. And the way they are operating is technically legitimate. Because their school committee has oversight.
Right, we don't need to cast stones.
Plainfield and Ashfield don't have oversight.
But not at the high school level, David, because they're part of the regional high school, so their oversight doesn't overlap. And I'd sort of like to see us operating under Mohawk, under the, reporting to you, but also working with them. I mean, that way we wouldn't have to go into the privacy issues of who are the kids that are there and what are the issues that are coming up. We don't have to we don't have to do any of that. They would let us know. The schools would be notified by the 2 tech schools that the student had moved, and Robin or Pat Bell down at the school would notify us that this was what was
So your recommendation again is the school committee? Is that what you're copying?
Am I recommending that we set up a school committee? No,
Okay.
not
Not
this
this
point.
time. But we need to look at it.
I see us as a tech school oversight group that operates with the officials at school. I've talked to the superintendent and I've talked to the personnel director, and I've talked to Robin, and got some input from them and let them know where we were heading, and they're comfortable with what we're doing at this point.
So true, you're looking at this vote tech oversight committee as a long-term answer or a short-term answer?
I think that will depend on how things begin to work up as we move down the road, as Mohawk begins to go into contracts. I've asked to serve on the Transportation Committee there next year, in addition to the Personnel Subcommittee, so that I would have some idea of what was going on. I know that the bidding that they're going to do for this next contract is going to look different from the one this year, the most recent one that they're operating under. So I see that as a positive step, and Robin has included me in what she was doing, and I mean, share that with you.
I mean, I'm trying to summarize a little bit, repeat back to you what I'm hearing, is you're thinking that this may be a little bit longer term situation possibly than David is. I mean, I'm hearing David saying, 60, 90 days we'll have a handle on what we should really do, where you're thinking that maybe this informal
I'm thinking
advisory.
short term that works with whatever boards would be overseeing what we're trying to do. Because I don't feel we should be stepping on anybody's toes. I don't think we should be looking into personnel kinds of, for kids. I mean, I don't think that's our area. I think what we want to do is try to save the town some money with tuition and busing. And however that works out as we begin to put our heads together to talk about with the other three towns as to how this is going to work, how it's going to best serve all of us. I know Robin said that was the thing that she wanted to see, was that we work together to make sure that the busing routes were compatible.
Something needs to
Robin,
Robin Pease?
oh, Robin,
She's the head of that.
I wasn't sure who was saying
The reality is that this can't work unless the four towns form a solid, cooperative, collaborative to do this. That's how we saved the money a month ago, by working together and collaborating. Keep in mind, these four towns, all small, are spending over $1 million a year. Keep in mind that this is Ashfield's #2 department in terms of money. After all, this comes #2. Eclipsing all other town departments. Keep in mind that we have imperfect administration and oversight. Also keep in mind that, and another big piece of this, Poppy has touched on it very directly, what is Mohawk's role? If Mohawk had been effectively administering this, we wouldn't have gone and lost the rate of $36,000 a year on one route, not to mention the losses on other routes. So we've got work to do with Mohawk. And historically, for the last 10 years, Mohawk has been resistant in terms of collaborating with the town. So what are the roles? What are the responsibilities? This is going to take some time to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. It's going to take working at the local level. It's going to take working at the four-town level, and it's going to take interacting with Mohawk. And in a sense, you've got 3 tiers of, we have the immediate issues pertaining to the bill that we have paid regarding the student who lives on Barnes Road. Are there questions? We already addressed another student elsewhere in town. Those are the immediate issues. We have the medium-range issues of...
And you think we should revisit the one that we took care of?
Yes, I do. Yes, sir.
So there's 2 still?
Yes. And we have medium-range issues, which is in 15 or 16 weeks, we start off the 13-14 school year, and how the hell are we busing the kids? How are the 4 towns going to do it? And we have to figure that out. And what is the best, and we've got to start from scratch because there's no infrastructure within the contractor in terms of Mohawk's administration. So we're going to have to take the Vocational Advisory Committee, which is organizing itself on June 20th, the meetings at Charlemont at Goodmill Hall. You're welcome to attend. Poppy and I will be there. Mary, I know is aware of the meeting. I think she's busy. I don't know if she should be there, but
I sent
she's
you an
welcome
email
to
saying
come.
I'd be there.
Yeah. And we're going to have more meetings between now and September 1. Then we have the longer range issues of what do we do when this contract expires? What's the best way for Ashfield, Plainfield, Charlotte, and Hawley to arrange for the busing of their kids? Should it be under Mohawk seasons? Should 4 towns bid it? Should we bid it both ways? Well, these are things that the vocational advisory committee is going to have to sit down and talk about. But I want to go back and so that there's clarity. I hope there's clarity here. That, again, I see this as a 3-step operation. For now, we've got things to do. We've got bus routes to put together. We've got tuition bills to check. And so I say the caretaker government and the finance committee reporting to the school committee reps and reporting to you has work to do, and we need your support and trust. And when we're at a point where we can present you with a report and a charge, then I recommend that we move into step 2, where you appoint and a advisory committee, call it what you will, that will do 2 things: take care of the day-to-day business and prepare a final plan. You know, whether it's a school committee or whether it's there's got to be a final solution. And I don't think this is rocket science. I envision that this committee would be dissolved by town meeting in 2014, and that a permanent solution be put into place at that point in time. We've got 2 things to do. We've got the day-to-day business to take care of, and we want to come up with a solution as to how to make this work and go on forever. We came up with a solution 10 years ago and it fell apart. So how do we come up with a solution and make it stick?
Okay, David. I've been listening to you, and what I need to know tonight is, what can we do for you tonight? What action can we take to help you and help the town? That's what I'm looking for, is what action, if any, do we need to take tonight? Because
request the caretaker government to prepare a report and a charge. Created an administrative policy within the town that any and all matters involving vocational education, and specifically bills, be run by us before they are authorized for payment. Those are the 2 most important things you can do for us right now.
how about instead of saying that, calling it the caretaker government, we call it David Newell and Papa Joy?
That's fine by me. Technically, I think, as one of you guys pointed out, the finance committee was the one that initiated it. And we met last time, 2 nights ago. As far as I'm concerned, this is an ongoing effort of the finance committee. The finance committee has given the nod to me. The members that participated in it, Ricky Carroll's been at meetings, and Poppy and I long ago recognized the reality that we've got to work together and we've got to get the school closer in. So this marriage of necessity and convenience.
All that, what do you?
All on a steady lane.
Does this line in, does the caretaker government line in with any particular mass general law or not? No. Just, it's a blend of both legislative and administrative. And got to work with Mary and everybody else, and we got to work with the school committee review. So I see it as officially finance. Yeah, we can be an oversight committee for the time being until we come to you with a charge for a temporary committee.
If you want us to help you, let's let Paulette have a
That's okay.
chance.
I was going to say, I think the last time you were before us a couple of weeks ago, I think at the end we came to an agreement that you were going to continue to function under the auspices of the finance committee,
Right.
which is sort of what you're saying, and that Poppy was joining from the school committee side
Which makes sense.
to have the 2 of you. And I think looking at bills before they get paid is always easier to get them adjusted than after. I mean, it's just so much harder. So if we've got a scheme in mind that when they come in, they get emailed to you, or paper gets created for you to pick up or something like that, and they get corrected if corrections needed and then what's truly due gets paid is much better than,
Right.
it makes a lot of work for everybody. It makes a lot of work for whoever.
Much better
Gets
than
paid as well.
pay a bill
as
correctly than have to spend a lot of
Right.
time correcting bills that
It's
were paid incorrectly.
For everybody, I think.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I guess the only thing I would say about that is clear, I want to be clear about whatever lines of authority there are. Most of the time it would be very easy to get bills by in a timely way. There might be occasions, as there were in the beginning, when that's not really possible for one or another reason, and you should know whether those bills should just get paid anyway. I have talked to the accountant about adjusting the bill. It's not difficult. I just want to, I guess it would be good for us to be clear.
Well, that's what we're gonna do tonight.
Okay.
I think they should
No,
always be.
it is difficult
Yeah.
to correct these bills. It's time consuming and wasteful. It's best that better a bill be paid late and
Then it's
correct.
best, then it's great that we're only correcting one bill
Right.
instead of 10 bills.
I think it's a good idea to have them all looked at first, and if there was going to be a complication, couldn't we then also authorize that this subgroup here could give a call and say, hey, we're working on this, there seems to be errors, so it's not going to go through the warrant at this time. But unless we're at some crucial point, like it's the last bill of June or something, where there's issues. But even at that, what, money can be encumbered or whatever we have to do, but it's equally hard on the other end for somebody to be adjusting. So I'd rather see them all go through it while you're watching them to make sure that they're right.
And that's exactly what you're asking, is that the staff administratively, they can communicate it to you, you can review it, communicate back with them.
Doesn't take long.
Seems like it,
We have a two-week warrant cycle. The review of a bill can be done at our end within 24 hours.
looks like it could be almost.
We've got the contracts, we've got the data, we have the information from the accountant. It's a quick check, and anything pops up. And I don't want to imply that there's shortcoming from the administrative staff. What we're actually talking about doing is really a function, back when I was business manager at Mohawk, this is being done down there. And that's frankly where the hell it should be done.
Here's a question. When those bills come in, should they be emailed or should they come in? Because last week you
I
brought
was
it to my
going to
attention
say that.
that
I was
it's
going to
very
say that.
sensitive.
Last week's meeting, when I mentioned that you and I had spoken, and I was coming down to Town Hall, that when I looked at them, I was originally going to email them to you, but I noticed the second page of the bill had student names.
Right.
And so it was split between, I think, Smith and Smith Special Education.
Right.
And when I saw the list of the students' names, email is known to be the most insecure. So I said, oh no, I'll make paper copy and I'll get it today in paper copy. So I was making mention of that last week, because I presume children's names are not public
But,
information.
you know, let me give you an anecdote, that you're right on, spot on something, and this is what we're struggling with right now, with one of the two voc schools. Now, we've got to come up with a busing plan for next year. It's going to touch on the point you just made, Paula. And in order to do that, ideally we'd love to have the names, but let's say some of the schools might not give us the names. So at the very least, if we could have their year of graduation and their address. So in talking to Mohawk, which has a certain jurisdiction over this, they said, we can't give you that information because it's sensitive. You have to go to Smith or Tech. And when you talk to them, they say, we can't give you that sensitive information. You have to talk to Mohawk, which has jurisdiction in theory over these students. And that's the kind of bullcrap we're dealing with right now. And I find that if the municipality and its officials, how in the hell can we figure out how to put a bus route together if we don't know where the hell the kids live?
Where the bus needs to go.
Yeah. I mean, this
This is why we work with Mohawk.
I was only concerned
Yeah, but
about.
Mohawk is unwilling to give us that
Well,
information
Robin
from
told me
Georgetown.
that she would help me with with some of that, so.
Well-
My question is, how often do the bills come in from, say, Cosmescus or?
Very monthly, because Mescus and Tech is semi-annually, and I think Smith is quarterly.
Well, could we not set up a meeting at some point with Mary to, when the bills come in, if we had a set day that we would come in, that we would look them over as a committee, you and I would come down, we would look them over, then there's nothing that gets sent out, the sensitive information can be withheld, and we'll look strictly at the bills as they come in, so that if you get a bill on the 25th, or that we would come in, if it was up before the next school, before the next
Let's
select
just
board
say,
meeting.
do it informally, we're noticed and we agree to come down in 24 hours or 48 hours, something like
I wasn't as concerned about the paper, I was very concerned about putting it into emails
Well,
and
but-
attachment, and so just a single paper copy, so you had something to work with was.
But I think
Okay,
if we
so
came down,
you want to review those, and then the second point is that you want to be able to carry on.
that. Carry on, under the aegis of the Finance Committee, and know that we're going to come back to you two things, a report and a suggested plan with a charge for a temporary committee that will bring us from where we are now to the promised land,
So
hopefully
what-
at town meeting.
When you're referring to the finance committee, did the finance committee appoint you? I mean,
Yes.
is that
Yes.
didn't appoint Poppy?
no.
They know that Poppy is working with us. I mean, this has no technical formal structure, unfortunately.
Well,
Well, see, I've spoken
if
to.
we get too far down the lane, somebody may ask for it, but I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's just a little loosey-goosey.
Yes, it is, as it was 10 years ago.
I admire what you do. I think it's necessary, and I know you've done a lot of heavy lifting, but I see a world of trouble with it. The way it's a shotgun approach now. Don't ever refer to yourself, Poppy, as a committee. You're not a committee.
We're not.
You have no authority
No, no.
under a committee from this board anyways.
Right.
Be careful of who you advise, because it implies authority, okay? And believe me, I've seen it get in the papers, and you don't want that. I really respect what you're doing. But you have to look where it's coming from and where you're going. I hear two different things from both of you. Poppy, I hear you talking about the school committee and being a little bit aligned with that so that you don't trample on rights. And I've seen what's happened over the last few years about it being under the district and the lack of attention. So I'm hearing two diametrically opposed things here. I mean, there's really something saying we have to safeguard the roost a little bit with these 4 towns. There really, really is. There's a value to reporting to these 4 towns and maybe not the school district, because the school district maybe fell asleep on it a little bit in the past. And then there's also a value in going through the school district. So I'd be very careful in calling yourself a committee. And I like the idea of what Paulette said about you're running under the finance committee and you happen to be holding hands with a school committee member, but not a sanctioned authority or anything like that.
Great.
And one more thing to share with you on the 6th of this last month, there is this thing called a long-range planning committee, which was appointed, and our authority runs through the school committee, and it's a bunch of select board people, and this Bambi woman from Charmont is on there, and I'll be reporting later on to the select board on that because it was a charge given to me. But I would really pay attention to what your charge wants to be, because otherwise you'll get muddled down in all sorts of bureaucracy and find yourself with nothing to do on that and being ineffective. So I do understand that you're just running under the finance committee now. And we'll give you the courtesy of reviewing bills to the extent that you want to share them with people around you. I guess that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But it's no committee, it's no the government, open government, or...
Well, fully agree. I think the point you make are spot on.
Okay.
And I think it's the finance committee that carries the ball until such time as you act to the contrary, appoint a committee.
Or you see the benefit in coming through this committee, through this board. But just be careful.
Okay. Good point. And our discussion 2 nights ago when we met with Connor Room was based on our discussion with you 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, is that It's not David Newell, it's the Finance Committee, with Poppy Doyle participating. And so the Finance Committee will continue to interact with you as needed, bringing you reports and recommendations, and letters for you to sign again.
So, is there a motion to
Can I ask you a question?
go for it?
Did you get the email today with the 2 transportation bills?
I did.
Okay.
I haven't reviewed them yet. I mentioned Mary, I'm going to be down here tomorrow, and you in tomorrow?
Yeah.
And Mary, you're here tomorrow. And we're going to have a conference call with Paul King tomorrow, and get that stuff worked out.
So you won't know then whether they'll be ready for payment or not?
When we drop that date for getting them on the warrant?
Thursday.
Thursday, we'll have it all done tomorrow. You want to come down tomorrow?
I think I can make it.
Okay. Let's set a time. How about 11?
You won't be here.
Can you do 11?
No, I don't think I can be here until
11.
So we'll all come together at 11. We'll kill all the birds that need to be killed before Thursday because we have bills to pay and bills to adjust and bills to correct. I'll be in early with the vendor.
So,
Okay.
if I was going to make a motion, I would be to,
Excuse me, we were just talking, actually, there's some things that happen here in the morning. I am going to be here in the morning, but it's end of year, we have things we're working on with the accountant. It would be hard to do both things at once. Is there any chance that we could do it in the afternoon? She usually leaves around 1, and we have a lot to go over at the end.
Well, if we have time on Wednesday, no, I can't do it Wednesday. It has to be done tomorrow for me if you want to clear Thursday bills.
Well, she just said
Thursday
tomorrow afternoon.
afternoon.
Tomorrow.
What time?
Well, let's say 1:30, does that sound all right?
1:30? Okay. I'll be in at 1. I'll use your phones to deal with the contractor, and then we'll work out what needs to be worked out and figure out what, bring your calculators. We've got lots of math to work through. Make sure we got it right.
Paula?
I was going to say, if I were making a motion, I would think it would, since 2 weeks ago we just said keep going, would be that we are basically authorizing or expecting, shall I say, that the Finance Committee, Dave Newell, in conjunction with Poppy, are going to be reviewing all of the vote-related bills for educational expenses and busing before they get paid. So
Before they get on the warrant.
before they get off.
I'll second that, just to get it on the table.
Mary?
I don't know, then, what do you think? I'm just very aware that we are a part-time town hall. The bills do not always come in on exact dates. Do you want us to miss a warrant if that's the way it goes?
I gotta believe that when you get a bill, you got 30 days to pay it.
Yeah, I think we do.
So if it came in 5
Except we're
days,
going into the end. Have we had our last bill?
you get 20 days, right?
You're going to be getting the June bill.
You haven't got the education.
Right.
That's
But it depends on when it comes in.
But even if it came in on Thursday, it's going to miss. If it comes on a Wednesday and they get a heads up, he said they pretty much can turn it around. I mean, if they come in the morning, I can't believe the accountant usually does a lot of that work on Friday. So there's going to be time to be able to have an hour or two to look at it to see if it's okay.
I absolutely understand that that's what we want to have happen. I just want to know who had, if one of us is out, the other is here, if we are overloaded, if it's time to pay the bill, if it's the end of the year.
It sounds to me like there's a lot of ifs in there, and we're always looking at the worst case scenario, which the pessimist in me says is probably going to happen.
Just want to be prepared for it, completely understand what we would like to do. And
But
make
I
sure
don't
we try
really
to-
see any problem with missing an every other week warrant if you get presented with a bill and you got 30 days. As far as year end, any bill that we get dated prior to the year end only have 16 days
We do.
to
So we
pay it in
carry it into
July.
the new year.
So we can carry that forward.
All right.
if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I've done it, but in July, on warrant weeks, you'll have two sets of warrants. You'll have a fiscal 13 and a fiscal 14 warrant.
A lot of this is going to be mindset on the part of all of us, at the risk of redundancy, that bulk, there's only 3 vendors, there's very few bills over the year. Total bills, probably 18 for the year. It's our number 2 department, it's our number 2 expense, and it needs to be a priority. When these things come in, they need to be considered as radioactive, because they usually are.
But I think we should have them review.
It just needs to
I'd
be
like to stick with the motion to make sure
priority
they get
attention.
The staff to forward or to make connections so they can review it and approve.
Right, and if they need copies, they get copies if they're coming in to look at it, which I think it's always easier to take a copy and work with it, because sometimes you want to write on it or whatever.
In any way it
But up to
works.
you. It's up to you.
We're flexible. Just give us an email or give us a call. We'll come down.
Anything
Within
short,
24 hours.
anything short.
I work out of my house.
Communicating it with smoke signals, Dave.
And it doesn't take long to check because, you know,
Okay?
if there's an irregularity, we're going to burn
So
it
we've
off.
got a motion and a second. Is it, I don't have any problem with it. I mean, I think it's very logical. If we've got folks that are willing to help us.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I think it's a good idea, especially if we've been losing money.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. I'll tell you one thing that I think when we're talking about that will short circuit some of this, or at least should make it so it's not quite so much of a burden, is that when we head down this next school year, that since we pay the bills, that we have the copies of the contract in the office so we know what they're supposed to be, instead of the contracts being hid down in the central office. And that's just something, that's just food
Well, I have a copy of that
that's just
contract
food for thought, so we can, but we shouldn't have to, if we're the ones paying, we
That would be hell of a lot
shouldn't have
to
had to
expect.
pay for it.
Yeah, that would be a lot to expect a Mary or Lynn or anyone, you know, to wade through that 220-page document.
No, but if there's a question to come up, then at least it would be here.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
we got a copy.
Wouldn't it?
Here, there are
I
copies.
think that's
here on
pretty
file.
logical. Anything else we can help you with tonight?
Oh, yes. What do you use for irregularity?
It's 10 minutes of 9 and we've got more on the agenda.
Good evening.
Thank you.
I rarely come to a meeting without thinking about it.
I noticed when you walked in.
I was thinking.
All right. David, good to see you.
Thank you. We're all on the same team.
Here we go.
Right?
Right.
We are all on the same team. All of us.
It's okay. No, you don't need to.
Ain't no.
We're gonna call it a group.
Yeah. That-
Okay, before we get
Steady line here.
Before we get too far down the line, I hate to skip around the agenda, but why don't we take care of this special town meeting warrant so we can decide what needs to be put on that? I think that takes some priority.
Yes.
Did you have a copy of this, or am I the only one that's?
You're the only one that just put it in there so you could read it too.
Okay, so we already talked about Article 2 when we agreed, what is on here is Article 2, but about traffic speed trailer. Article 1 is to see if the town will vote to transfer $3,964 from vocational school expense to winter roads. Winter roads is overspent by that amount of money.
And it won't get any more than that before the year ends,
We're-
because that's all that extra that you ordered.
Winter roads and stuff.
Back to the
Is there
3,900, what was it?
64?
Yeah. You need a motion for that to get out? Okay, so move. Well,
Does it need-
And that's an interesting question. I thought you could probably do a motion on the whole warrant.
The whole warrant.
Oh, okay.
Does it need any wiggle room, like up to, like we did on the other?
Says up
Just to
to.
be sure? Or did
It says
It
up
does,
to.
oh, it does, okay, sorry.
It says up to.
My bad.
But it shouldn't say up to $5,000 or, how much, what was the number again?
3,964.
That's it.
I guess I would, I won't be able to do it tomorrow morning. Maybe tonight even drop Tommy an email and ask him, does he expect any other winter roads, any other bills that relate to winter roads? I'm pretty sure the answer is negative.
But it wouldn't be so specific if
And then we can adjust that. Does that be all right? We can kind of adjust that on the fly.
Yes, if he's got more.
All right. And then the third article.
No, sorry.
Go for it.
Are you thinking of signing it tonight so it can be posted tomorrow?
What do you think if we changed it to up to $5,000? And then we can always move on the floor what the exact amount is.
Sounds good.
Yeah, all right. We'll do that.
Just in case.
And Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer up to $127 from vocational school expenses to the municipal town clerk. $127. And the reason I understand that the town clerk would like that to happen is that there was a prior directive that if the town clerk was came to a night meeting that she needed to be paid for that time. And so she's been working all her other hours, and she started down this road and saw that the budget she'd be, she'd be negative, and there would be no town clerk for June. So, but she did work these hours, this extra $127. So that's my understanding of how this becomes an issue.
Special projects or something for that next time? Wasn't that nighttime we talked about? Is this?
Special projects money has been being used for other things, but no, this is town clerk's salary line.
Right.
That's where we're just.
Was that like when she was here at night waiting for people to come in to register to vote, those kind of things?
Actually, I don't know. What I know is that at one point after she was here and was told to do it, she put in the hours she'd actually worked. After that, she realized it would run her entire by now and didn't do it. But needs this amount to be paid for the full 4th week in her salary line.
So I guess I don't understand where the directive came from. I don't either.
And is it to any meeting, even as a citizen? It's in her official capacity as a clerk?
It was discussed at this board or a board a number of times.
In the fall, remember when we had a meeting and we indicated that they were all supposed to report all their hours worked? The only thing is I would have thought that if she was here for some other purpose other than town clerk duties per se, that it was out of that special fund. They used the whole special
The
fund.
overtime was town clerk duties, which is, it will be the case on the election, it's frequently the case. That when we do extra hours, it is within the regular duties.
Right, but that's when Norm was here and we originally set that up, it was to come up with sort of a little overtime account, if you will. I don't mean overtime in terms of time and a half, but extra time account. And that's what that had been set up for, because we were aware that there were extra hours if you were working elections or registering people to vote or whatever, and do that how they ran the schedule. So if they used up all the money out of the special
David?
processing, have I really used up all that money, or is there money in the
That was not our
budget?
understanding of the account.
These recording devices will be all muddled if you keep having your loud discussion over there in the corner. They get all these expensive recording devices.
Thank you, Tom.
Would you like us to step out into the rain and continue our conversation?
No, you could go down into the restroom for all I care.
Anyway, if there is money in that special projects fund, I remember when Norm was here and we set it up, we had had that conversation to use it. If there's money there, we should probably take it out of there as opposed to just maybe escalate her account.
Our understanding is this is salary, it's to come from salary. When I was told to do it, I was told to do it from salary. That's what we did. That's what needs to be replaced so she can get her last full salary check in June, because she will work more hours as town clerk this month anyway. There's some elections and special town meetings and so forth.
And this is the end of being bothered with all this
Yes.
since that is going to salary.
And the special, and the special account is going away, so it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
So,
I'm fine with it, I mean,
So wherever it can
Is
come
there
from,
any-
it's gotta be covered to go into her salary line item by the sound of things, because it's already been depleted because it wasn't done on a special project. So, be short.
I mean, it's just one of, we need to have a good explanation when the finance committee gets a hold of it to understand how this is running over that hourly rate.
To me, it's because whatever it was she did that should have been charged as special project, I remember when Norm was here, that's the kind of things we wanted to use that for, because they had a finite salary that you couldn't exceed. So it's already been paid out of her salary. So you could charge it to that special projects fund, but nonetheless, it's still gonna have to use that
Yeah, I
money
guess
to
we'll-
get her paid.
Do we have any idea? I'll just ask the clerk to figure out what it was, what those hours were. It's really not that many hours, background on it. And then, you know, maybe it happens to be a 7 minutes, so we know.
Right, and it's past time, it's not.
Maybe it's a 7 minutes that were approved, so we can follow up on it.
We need it.
I'm not familiar with it, so.
Figured it happened before your time.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it, and I'm not aware of the circumstances leading up to it. It seems like a pretty thing to be taking up a lot of money.
Right. So, do either of you have other items that should be on the special town meeting?
What about the question that came from Ted for the Veterans Benefits account, that looked like it was going to need to have some money put into it to finish the
I
year?
believe that's less than $100. And Mary called me on going over this, and I figured that about anything less than $100, we should just request the finance committee to fill that out of reserve.
And I had actually, when we talked, already sent him an email about the special town meeting and saying that there would be some requests for the reserve fund and listed that as one of the possible ones.
And there was that, the other one
I
that
think
was
there
mentioned in Mary's email.
The RMD, those are
Yes.
surcharges, we get chapter 70 money, local aid money when it came this year, and I think this is the first year. This is not anything we put together as part of the budget. I think it's in there for accounting purposes. Chapter 70 money came, I think this year for the first time, indicating that Ashfield was awarded X amount. The check was for X amount minus the 3 surcharges that the state said we had to pay, I believe, regional surcharges for pollution, transit, and so forth. So that's there to indicate money, the money that came in looked like it was one number. This shows that it was minus this for these that the state had actually already deducted before they sent it to us.
But it can't finish the year as a negative $80.
No, that's another one we take to the reserve.
I mean, anything under $100 seems like reserve fund would be, since they haven't spent a dime out of it.
Most probably agree. But they're not going to know about this, so we're going to be surprising.
I did send him an email.
Oh, that's right, you did. Okay. Then he did respond back now.
And they've got to have a meeting for this special town meeting anyway, so they could very well take
And
it.
they are set to come here on the 17th if you would like them to, and they are set for the 26th if we go ahead and have a special town meeting, as is the law.
Anything else?
Do you need a motion for this?
Well, just probably would be good to take care of the whole thing in one.
And if it's going to be posted tomorrow, I should go do
We
one.
should go polish the doorknobs on it.
Do you want to do any flashing vote?
Let's vote on it, and then we can go over minutes. While you're doing that, how's that?
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we accept the 3 articles as discussed for the special town meeting on Wednesday, the 26th of June, 2013. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to transfer $3,900
5?
Up to 5, so strike that and to transfer up to $5,000 from vocational school expenses to winter roads or act relative thereto. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to transfer up to $10,000 from vocational school expenses to an account to be established for the purpose of purchasing a police department traffic speed trailer or act relative thereto. In Article 3, to coming out of the reserve account or out of the vocation?
No, that would be.
Okay. To see if the town will vote to transfer up to $127 from the vocational school expenses to the municipal town clerk or act relative thereto.
I mean, it was a little arbitrary from, I mean, I said if it's less than $100, that's,
It's within it. But anyways, that's my motion.
Second.
any other discussion on it? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's unanimous. I guess we're gonna have a special town meeting on the 26th. We'll be able to be all giddy about whoever the new senator's gonna
There you
be.
go.
Could we do that town common thing in the old business?
I would like
No,
to be here for that.
That's right, that's what I was going to say, before you
Oh,
leave.
before I go to
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Is that 7:30?
What?
7 o'clock.
7. All right, you wanna do the town common?
I think we should put it off. We've got a lot of minutes to do.
Well, I'm kind of anxious for us to
Okay.
make a decision on the town common, because if it's going to be taken care of, it probably needs to be something that should be done earlier than later.
You got a copy of,
Yeah, I haven't reviewed this, so anybody want to give it to me in a nutshell?
Yes, it's, I think it's B, and on the second page, 2 of the points address seeding, lawn, planting, care, which I think is what, at least initially, you were concerned about,
the care of the lawn.
care of the lawn. Talks about permitted versus not permitted, so the first page discusses
Notwithstanding the foregoing, the following acts and uses are permitted on the premises, but only if the acts or uses do not materially impair the historic, scenic, or the open space values. The planting, mowing, and other maintenance. So, number 1, it says we can plant, mow, and do other maintenance of grass.
including planting trees or changing trees as necessary.
The planting and maintenance of 2 benches.
And then I thought 6, grading and repair of the premises. Again, I was assuming that the reason we're asking was because it didn't look good with big brown patches, so if
They take a
everything
certain
from
amount of
grading,
tools.
planting, all kinds of care are under permitted.
What,
That's usually prohibited use too in there somewhere.
well, the prohibited use is A.
Go ahead,
Not
I can
everybody
hear
has
you. No, go ahead, I can hear you.
So the prohibited acts and uses, constructing or placing of any permanent structure,
Mining, excavating,
mining, excavating, for the, can't get the gravel out of there. Placing, filling, storing, or dumping,
parking vehicles.
can't use it to park vehicles.
I think we have a certain amount of latitude on getting that place looking good and taking care of it.
It belongs to the town, right?
It does.
So under that, is it something that our own highway department, or do we have to contract with somebody else who specializes in, sort of that kind of maintenance for grass as well as?
I think that we better let the highway crew work on the highways. We're shorthanded, got a little bit of a late start, and I've got 2 or 3 local people that I would approach to see so forth and see what fees, just have them come, you know, give us an idea of what it's gonna cost.
Good.
I'd like to hit that up to get that done.
Now, we're okay having someone do the work as long as it does not exceed $5,000, otherwise we've got to put it out to bid.
I think that's the limit today.
Right.
I mean, right now, we don't have money appropriated for it.
So maybe I was too early on this STM thing, we could have done a little bit more.
Well, we don't have the homework done, we don't have the homework done.
Sure.
But we may be amazed to find out how economical we can get it done.
And I guess well, good question. Is it, or, and maybe this is not the case, I think I know, that maybe the building committee, maybe not. I was trying to figure out if there was a line that we have like town hall maintenance, that if it has money in it, can be used for that as an extension of the grounds, but maybe not.
I think we'll be amazed at how economical we can get this done. I really think we can get it done.
So you'll get some proposals before us?
So maybe we can give a big thank you or something,
Okay.
if that comes true.
All right, otherwise I was going to say, if I wouldn't be opposed if we thought we needed to add a fourth item before Mary goes to item one of that, maybe put a little bit of money there to at least investigate the repair, sort of, what it might cost. You know, maybe, even though somebody may be donating labor, maybe we need to be purchasing grass seed or something, so if somebody's willing to do the labor, that's the intensive part, and maybe we want to fund a little bit of money for the grass seed, fertilizer, whatever it is. And we could add that as a fourth item on the warrant.
What do you think,
I really think that most of this can be donated at no charge, and I think 6 1/2 doesn't, I mean, if you want to put it on, I'm not, how much would you want to put in? $2,000?
I have no idea how much grass seed and fertilizer costs. You told me 500 would be sufficient.
The problem is you're not going to just seed that little patch, you know, you're going to want to go in and make it look fairly seamless across the whole thing, so maybe it could be.
So we could say up to, sort of if needed, and we don't know yet, but if we did need money, it would probably include having to do something in August to have another special town meeting if we did it now, right?
And we wouldn't have any accounts where we'd take it from. We wouldn't
At
have
that
free
time.
cash.
Right. So we could take it down?
No problem. I mean, I'll still try to promote it as
Yeah, and I think that's a good idea.
a
But we at
community,
least have-
effort to get
Sure.
that done.
Sure.
I'm receptive to it.
You're receptive to it?
Whatever I have to do to undo what I've done.
No. So I'll make a motion that we add a fourth article to the special town meeting warrant for the 26th. Let's grab another $2,500, let's say, from vocational. That vocational account.
2,500.
Hey, let's do this. Let's not do this. Why don't we snag it, see what it costs and snag that money from grant program income? And we don't even need to have a special town meeting for that. Selectmen have authority to spend grant program income.
Selectmen do have authority, but we are advised to have a special town meeting vote.
Okay. Well, it won't hurt. It won't hurt to discuss it. So why don't we do, let's take it from grant program income. That would be an excellent use of that money. Community,
As opposed to vote.
instead of that vote money.
Okay.
Grant program income, $2,500
Up to,
to receive
to a line to be created for
Yes.
the care of town common.
Yeah.
Maintenance of grass.
Well, no, maintenance of, I put reseeding and maintenance of town common.
Okay, that can also be in the talking points. Let's see, wait a minute. So this would be before the end of the year, so any work that the money would go to,
So
if you make it more general, it can be encumbered so that if there's late summer work or something, then,
it's all, it's gonna be the summer season, that's what it's gonna be.
And by the time they get to it, it'll be July.
right, but any money that is to be paid out of current funds has to be, the item has to be purchased or contracted for by June 30th. Doesn't have to be done. But because it's a line item for a specific purpose.
Reseeding the town common,
Right.
that's a specific purpose.
Is that what you want there? And I was thinking then it could be encumbered if you need like season's work. It can be encumbered and so work into the following year. If there's any left over. All right, so up to $2,500 from grant program income to an account to be established for the purpose of reseeding town common.
Reseeding and maintenance of town common. Okay? All those in favor say aye. I made the motion.
Actually, I'm sorry. I know what I'm having trouble with there is it has to translate into a line on the budget. Purpose of reseeding and maintenance of town hall common is long, cumbersome, and not in the form of budget lines?
Cut all of it. Cut all of it. Has nothing to do with town hall.
Did I say hall and then
Yeah.
common? Then would you be okay with town common maintenance?
Yes. Be fine. As long as there's an account we can spend money on.
And then in the talking points, you
want
talk
to
about the
fit it
seeding.
You want to fit it into the little box.
And the accountant will want that, and everybody will want that. Well, I was thinking
So we have a motion and a second.
Yes, we did.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we revisit that. So on the other, there is a little note here that came in the mail relating to this. It says to the Ashfield Select Board, as former chair of the Town Common Committee, I have been distressed over the last year by the picnic table on the common. The committee had made it very clear that there was to be nothing permanent on the common, and from the beginning we required that the farmers market take everything down each week. When we completed our work, we suggested to the then select board that there be created a Friends of the Common Committee to help the select board with the administering and making decisions about use of the common. You know, Dave Newell was just here talking about 10 years ago, right, and then it fell apart, so. We had also hoped to raise money for 2 benches, one on the hill and one on the lower level of the sidewalk. Friends Committee was however vetoed by the then select board chair. I still think it might be a good idea, so perhaps you could reconsider it. We had originally suggested Stuart Harris, Molly Bezzi, plus a 3rd member of our committee. Check on who that was. I would need to check on who was on the committee. And I don't know whether any of these folks would still be interested, since that was some years ago. Thank you for considering.
Who's that from?
Molly Robinson. So, it was a nice little note, but it goes to, they had great intentions of having a lot of help on the thing, and it just kind of fell apart, so. We've heard that song and dance before, but it was a nice note.
I recall that last year, is it only last year, the picnic table, that the board, that was looked into and got permission, and it was agreed it could stay there for summer during the time they were doing
farmer's market.
The farmer's market was removed at the
I
end.
don't
of the farmer's
remember
market.
where it went at the end of the
It
year,
goes
but I
up to
thought it
the
disappeared.
town barn to the,
Thank you. I remembered it went away and then it just came
then it
back.
comes back.
I think it says in here, you know, it says constructing or placing of any permanent structure.
Yeah.
Picnic table is a long ways from permanent.
Yeah.
And we called them to be sure, and we did talk to Molly, who objected when it went up, and did let her know that we talked to the
Land trust.
land trust, and that the agreement was that it would move at the end of the farmer's market.
All right, good, we got that out of the way. Why don't we let Mary go finish that up so we can. How about we do some minutes now? While Mary makes her escape.
How far can I go?
Oh, I'm looking for March 5th. Why don't we start back at March 5th?
There are 3 sets of minutes given to us that we've already voted on and approved. March 4th, March 5th, and one other. I got it here. March 13th.
Did I give you the wrong ones?
We got, March 4th was already voted and approved on March 25th. March 5th was voted and approved on March 18th, and March 13th was voted and approved on March 25th. They've already been done. I really wouldn't want to enter them as another document because I didn't go back to compare to see if they're identical or not. And I think some of them are up on the website already. So hope that those were the amended versions.
Where did these get
These were done recently. It may have been, we had, let me go back and say, when we closed down, we had a lot of minutes. We had some minutes that hadn't been done at various points. We had some minutes that had come to the board and had corrections but had not been approved as amended, so they had to come back to the board. And then I think we had some minutes that had come to the board and just not been acted on at a particular time. A couple cases where there were multiple.
Are you thinking document lists?
Yeah, so a lot of them needed a document list.
But these were already completely approved as amended. I didn't check to see if these were amended versions, but I think some of them were out on the web already. So I just stopped looking at that point to compare to what we already approved. I just had notes that they were approved and done.
So I would have to look at our master list because we were all working on some different pieces.
These aren't the same ones that you did a couple weeks ago, right?
No, I don't think so.
Why don't we do some research? Why don't we work on the minutes? Well, we're gonna have them in here,
Yeah, and we have,
so.
let me take a look.
We haven't done June 3rd. I
No,
know
we
that.
haven't.
We haven't done
That's-
18th.
And March 18th,
We haven't done 18th.
We
I
haven't
didn't think so. Those two, yeah, the March 18th, I didn't have any record of.
To Paulette's thoughts, I really didn't have any edits in those first 3. I didn't catch the fact that we already did it. But I didn't have any edits, and my edits actually started on the 18th. They weren't,
I think there were a few little edits on my other copy where I discovered we had already approved them.
Lynn's got
But
the
I
big
didn't-
binder.
I have the March 5th approved on 3/18/13. I have March 4th, which she has here. Those were done on 3/25/13.
yeah.
So I wonder how we got those on our list of minutes that we needed to go back into for this.
I don't know, because I took everything out of here and compared it with the calendar. And brought March 3rd, look, that's March 12th. There's no March 13th in here.
It was approved on 3/25, it was the minutes right after the special town meeting, with the short meeting we had.
Okay, so
Glenn, was this during the period when Jen was doing it, or when you were doing it? Do you remember?
What's that?
Do you think, I'm trying to remember whether this was the period when Jen was doing it, or when you were doing it, or when I was doing it? Do you have any memory? I can go look.
well, they say they're submitted by me, and they're amended, approved as amended in here.
I'll take a look at
Some were done by Jen.
the master sheet we were looking at, see how those are.
What
But
we
the
haven't
March, the
done,
March 13th minutes, you don't have a record of.
They're not in here. I'm not saying they
But
have.
you had some that are dated March 12th?
There was a March. There could have been, I mean, bunches, there was, yeah.
because the 13th was a special town meeting, and then we had a short meeting afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's only,
Because I
it's
have
done
done,
by Jen.
I didn't bring them, but I have the set from that meeting.
What's the date you have, Paula?
March 13th was approved on 3/25/13.
Okay.
But you don't have March 12th.
I actually have March
March
12th.
12th was done, yes, okay.
Yeah,
March 12th I have was done.
Yep.
So which one are you missing still?
All of these that Mary brought is
I have
already
this,
been approved as amended, except for March 13th, not in the book. Or March 18th.
March 18th, I agree we have it. Okay.
I agree, we haven't done March 18th.
But some-
This is our first draft.
You have March.
But mine was-
Yeah, this is
Mine's
I have,
just-
I have March 13th at home, marked with changes and approved. This is the copy they sent us. I didn't compare
Okay.
line for line.
I have here, folks,
Yeah,
I have March 13th, voted to accept as amended, and this was in the 325.
325.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the official one on here, so it's
Yeah.
not in here.
So are you missing any now?
This 13th.
The 13th, no, I'm saying, but I'm saying here, because I only write this if we accept it.
But it was amended, so we don't know if the copy, this copy that we just got has the amended items in it, or whether it's.
I've got it right
drafted
here.
in.
I mean, I've got it written down, you know, like,
Okay.
one amendment was submitted by on the bottom. I don't know if this includes it.
see, I think this,
And Mary Ellen.
And I'll have copies of it in the file anyway, so I can take a look at that.
This is what they just
See
sent
Mary
us.
Ellen Abigail.
yeah,
Is she in it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
been added.
And then down here, it's submitted by, and then this
3
document.
is missing.
3 is missing.
Submitted by is missing, and this document is missing.
That's crazy.
And we altered
And up
something
here,
out here.
approximately 6 was there? Is that in there?
No,
right at the top.
I'm not seeing it.
Approximately
all.
6 out of the Congress members.
Maybe we need to make a copy of yours since it's accurate,
No, who
and
knows
they
if
can make
it's
the
accurate.
changes.
Master sheet numbers.
Because yeah, there's something crossed out for discussion, because it said it twice, I think.
well, let's do this March. You've already got that it's been approved.
I think all of them except last week's you're saying have been approved.
No,
Is that
the
right?
No.
18th was not
The
done.
18th.
Okay.
But the problem is that the version that you emailed us is
the
like
most
half
current.
updated as opposed to completely updated from what we amended it to be.
So why don't we wait till next week? You bring in your copy, I'll bring in my copy. And
For the
we'll-
13th?
For the 13th.
Sounds like
Bring
a
it
deal.
up from the file. And I'm not sure how we put together a list to begin with to work from, and those were on there, so I'm not sure why.
March 18th, why don't we move on to the minutes of March 18th?
I was making myself a note, bring my 13th copy. Okay.
That being the case, we will have all the 13 minutes all set once you've done these. Those are the last, and we'll go back into 12 then.
So the only one we'll have to bring up next week is that March 13th
13th.
again.
Yep.
Paulette, you got anything
have documents in this one. If you go to liaison reports, Newkirk shares a letter drafted. I forgot to say that we sent it to the NRA Foundation because I sent it and I just gave us a copy. But it says document 9, and if you look at document 9, that's not it, because down under mail, the last thing is document 9. So I think we could make the first one maybe document 9A and put that letter in, which was mine, and then make the other one document 9B if you want, rather than having to renumber all the documents. And then after...
Can you repeat that, Paula? I'm
Sure
sorry.
can. If you look under liaison reports, the
Yeah.
third shared a letter. I just prefer to change drafted to mailed or sent or something, because it might be confused that it was a draft, but it was the final.
Did you author that?
I authored, yeah,
Okay.
we agreed, I
That's right.
authored it and sent it, and I just kind of brought in a copy.
So
And
we're
it's
changing the word drafted to something else?
mailed or sent, mailed to the NRA is fine,
Okay.
instead of drafted, because it was long gone by the time I brought it in.
Okay.
And it says document 9. The problem is if you go to mail,
Yeah.
the last
That's
paragraph is
Katrina.
9. So we have to call what was mine maybe 9A. And so the second document 9 could be 9B. Because if you look at the document list, there is no 9 from Paulette.
And you don't want to call it 11 or something like that?
Well, you
Even
could,
though
but we're
it's out
missing
of order.
11 and 12 as it is.
So
It's
what
a
are-
little rough.
Okay, what are we changing 9 to then?
Let's,
9A?
the first 9 will be 9A and the second 9, 9B. And then you can insert the 9A with the copy of the letter. Because it's just missing. Okay. I think right above the one that's the 9B, I think it's the sentence, go to the recordings and go from there, maybe make an addendum to those minutes as opposed to an addendum.
And where's this?
I'm still in the mail above what now
okay.
became 9B. The
Second
sentence
line.
right above.
Right above where it says document 9.
I think it needs to
Okay.
be and. And then a letter addressed to Deb Nicholson. A letter addressed to Deb Nicholson, CC to the select board, document 10.
A letter addressed from.
Did we write to her or did she write to us? Because I was going to say either like a date.
I was gonna say, would it have been one of those open meeting law ones? And they sent it to her and CC'd the select board? I don't know, I'm just guessing because I wasn't here.
I don't think it was mailed to us, I think.
I think it was, and I think it was addressed from.
I would have liked to have put the date, like a letter addressed with a date or some subject line because otherwise it's too vague what it is. But it's document 10, so if you have the letter and you can reference it, it would be nice to put
I
in.
don't recall us writing a letter to Deb.
I don't think so, I think you're right, it's
I think
from Deb, from Deb. But then why is it CC to the select board?
Because I think it was addressed
Oh.
from.
Is it possible?
Like a response from the Attorney General or something? I don't know.
No, but how about from the Board of Health? Did the Board of Health write to her with a CC to us? Does anybody have the letter?
It's possible, and I'm coming in the middle of this, but you did discuss it at that meeting? Because the documents are not necessarily anything that's coming during the week, but things that were taken up at the meeting.
I think this needs some clarification, and
I'll
I
put what
think
the
a date and a
document is.
subject would help.
May I interrupt for a minute?
Okay.
I know what you mean by grant program income. It is actually called, I got it here just a second ago.
It's on the last page of the budget worksheet.
Oh, it's not the town hall accessibility?
No, grant program income.
Okay, that's also a grant program income fund, that is.
The only time I usually see it is at the end of our annual town budget preparation.
That's not right. I mean, you know, budget one that we worked through in the spring, our annual town meeting budget
The last
spreadsheet.
page.
Last page where it talks about free cash.
The
and
whole
all that
Excel, the big Excel
Oh,
file we
right,
worked
right,
with for
that's
months.
a composite.
stuff of several
Oh.
items.
Right. And the only thing that we actually have in the budget that is grant,
On the last page of that,
Yeah.
this free cash stabilization.
grant program income, right.
Bang. Grant program income is one separate revenue account. Just like free cash, just like stabilization. It's money that's been paid back to the town from these
Yes,
grants.
which is in the budget as the town hall accessibility and
That's an
renovation.
expense account. That's not a revenue account.
Let me take a look at that.
Because we did use some of that money on.
We did, we used it at annual town meeting, remember? I can't remember what we used it on.
But we did.
That was,
It was $2,500, something like that. Was it for the Historical Society? The group, not the Historical Society there, the group, the project,
Book project.
thank you. I think that's what we used it for.
The history project.
Thank you. It only took two of us. Okay, so back to this. So underneath there, a letter from MTRSD. Because it says a letter, I think that might be document 11. That's not on the list at the end, but probably needs to be. And then on the next page,
So while you're on that, if I can interject just a little bit.
please do.
A letter, that sentence ends with school committee and superintendent, and I included the following words, on district long-range planning. That's what it said. I looked at that letter before I came here, and that way it's a little more specific. And you can include that letter if you want. It should be in
Long-term
document.
planning, you said, Ron?
What's that?
Long-term.
On district long-range planning.
Yeah. Should we include the date too, just to make it specific?
It would probably
If
should
there's a
put the
date on the
dates on
letter.
all of them, but,
Yeah.
you know,
Sure.
I don't have that right with me exactly.
Would you include the date then if you look it up? Yep.
And I noticed the very next thing was that we made a motion to appoint Ron Kohler.
He's been appointed.
Yep.
And then the next sentence, a letter from Preston Browning, and I would include the date and also call it document 12 and add it to the document list.
And then we adjourned. Do you have anything else? You didn't
Yes.
start from the top.
No, I didn't. I still have, oh, wait a minute. There's okay. I do a small change. Appointed, Stuart Harris, line 2. Stuart distributes to the board a 2-page summary to the board. I think that second to the board could be taken out. Or take the first one out and keep the second, but one of them needs to go. There's something else I saw with a date. No, I thought I saw another. Anyway, looking through each one of these, our meeting minutes in certain areas are still far too short. And I keep going back to what he said, you know, can a person read them and understand what happened? And I don't think we're meeting that requirement.
This one's 3 pages long.
It doesn't matter, the content of each one where we've had discussions, and that was, it's just too thin. You really, there just isn't enough there. Wayne Gardner, you know, a lengthy discussion. And I think we did have a lengthy discussion. I think Ron brought up a packet, and but there's no details. We're just not putting enough content into our meeting minutes, and if people ask for a copy of the minutes, they don't get the documents, so we need more in there. Now, this is March 18th, so I'm not conjuring up all the details that went with it, but I can tell from what it was and basically remembering, unless I went back and listened to the minutes, I can't tell you exactly what to add, but they're far too short for the amount of time we spend on them.
Well, I mean, like you were just talking about Wayne Gardner. You know, I mean, it says, you know, that he brought the application, and a lengthy discussion takes place regarding town hall use fees, insurance, etc. And that's what the lengthy discussion was. It's not like it just says a lengthy discussion took place, period. It doesn't say that. It says there what we discussed. You know, we discussed with Stuart the crawl space improvement project.
And on the dam, that it was downgraded from satisfactory to fair. That was the crux of it, you know, I mean, anything else, the other 10 minutes probably wasn't as important as those sort of things.
I mean, somebody might think that 4 hours out of 3 people's lives maybe should be more than 3 pages of documentation, but I think that's about what we amounted to on that night. I mean, I mean, it's not like it's not like 1 page. So we've got amendments. And Ron, did you have anything else?
Well, just in keeping with, as we've done in the past, you have to add number 13, which is these amended minutes, you know?
Yep, they go on.
And as I'm going to say on the next one, the footnote should be at the very end, in my mind. That's how we ended it. Like, say you have your documents 1 through 13, then you have 2 inches of space. And then your footnotes at the very bottom. Because I think the next one we're going to look at, the footnote is somewhere up higher, and it kind of distracted me from where we were. The footnote comes at the very end. It's just something, if someone's reviewing these, they know where to find them and where they were at.
So you want even after the documents, not just
Yeah,
at the end of the
exactly.
minutes.
Very, it's like a
Right
footnote
at
at the
like
very
at the
bottom.
very bottom of the last page.
After all the documents,
Yeah.
2, 3 blank, or
Very-
4 blank lines, as long as there's space.
A true footnote.
That was all I had beyond what I
Oh.
shared.
I wish I could remember what that letter addressed to. Devin Nicholson, CC the select board. Somebody had to have written it and gave us a copy.
So,
That's what it is.
and that's going to be included in the document. So, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 18th as amended, including the additions to the document list and the footnote.
I second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, it's 2-1. Oh, now wait a minute. Now what does that mean? You opposed all of your amendments that you wanted to make.
And I opposed except,
Yeah, we accepted her
Amendments, but she opposes
But
them.
she
I
opposed.
opposed because I opposed for the reason I brought up, that there are not enough
No, no, no.
details in the other areas.
I was only looking at it from, I was thinking like, you know, town meeting where if somebody votes against it, it causes something.
June 3rd.
June 3rd. This one you should be able to remember.
Yeah, it's coming within that sphere.
Oh,
I'll jump in on this if you want.
go for it.
Just to get it moving. This should be a document. Carter, okay, under old business, Carter makes a motion to approve the final version of the town hall use application, seconded by Kohler, voted. That and the town use hall application somehow need to be made a document, because we were given a hunk of paper with the correct wording on it. So in my mind, you know, this has been around so much in the last few
Yeah.
months that it would be good to kind of memorialize that, to adding it to the document list, if you guys are in favor of that.
Should that sheet of paper that was the wording changes
That's
be
what I
in
was
the
thinking.
document?
Yeah,
Okay. I didn't know if you meant incorporated into the whole.
well, originally I did, but we didn't have the whole thing, and the
Right.
one sheet at least should be in the document.
Yep.
Shouldn't we have on the document list not just the sheet with the changes, but the whole?
But we didn't have it at that meeting,
I saw
so
the change.
We just-
I brought that up and we didn't have it. And then there were just a couple others that I had here.
What document number will we give it?
We could give it the next in line, 16, I guess. Doesn't have to be sequential
Right, as
necessarily.
long as it is, okay.
So do you have that, Lynn?
60.
That would be the edits to that portion of it. Town hall use.
Did you find it?
You want me to keep going or no?
Yes.
Okay. Under new business, Lynn, I think we have to kind of hit a standard sort of nomenclature on these open meeting law violation complaints. It really is an open meeting law complaint. That's what that document is called.
Right.
We respond to the open meeting law complaint. So you could actually call it an OML complaint, just so that we have some standard on how we call these things. Okay, and I have that in a couple places, but I scratched out the word violation in that first sentence, and I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's basically what it is. Then under discussion, town councils is possessive. You know, they apostrophe S there. You with me?
I'm with you.
And then signature needs to also be on the OML, need to also be on the response to the OML complaint. You see what I'm saying?
Where
Just-
are you?
Oh, the same sentence, okay.
Yeah. So, same sentence, also need to be on the response to the OML complaint. Then the next paragraph, there's a couple motions there, but it says Kohler makes a motion to approve, and it's the same exact thing. The response to the OML, to approve the response. You said to approve the letter to Suzanne Corbett. It's really a response to the OML complaint that we approved. You understand? It's not a letter really. I mean, it is a letter, but it's, if someone was reading these, that's what we were really dealing with. And then under discussion, town council's response, possession, again there. And then I think I have one more maybe. Yeah, under liaison reports, Kohler met with the town hall staff on Monday, giving the employees a copy of their, I would have used position descriptions, but it's okay, job descriptions, for their review and comment if necessary. For their review and comment if necessary. I actually wrote on those, you know, look at them. I didn't seem to imply that they should be changed or anything like that, but if they should be changed, I wanted to give them for review. And that was a little harsh. I mean, it said edits of what their job description should be. You know, I didn't want to, I don't want to go that far. Just sharing information and soliciting a response. He asked that they be returned in a couple of weeks. I can't even read my own writing. He asked them to return them in a couple of weeks. Them, the comments and edits. And then I had on that note, that's what I was talking about, the note, these draft minutes were discussed. That should go under the very end, after everything. Those were my brief comments.
Yep, last.
All that?
Sure. Easy ones first here. I think after Ron's Kohler's name at the very top, it would be nice to put vice chair. Sorry, I didn't catch it sooner.
Have we been doing that?
No, we
We haven't,
haven't, but I missed it.
Well,
But we only just started, so we can make it a part of it. Let's see, under new business, the same place Ron was at, the first one, open meeting on complaint. The dates are 4/8 and 4/17, not 4/14.
4/8, 4 what?
It says 4/8/2003, and it says 4/14, but it was 4/17. Was the date in the alleged violation itself. I had a question actually for us. I'm on the second page, underneath the motion, in the middle of the page. I thought the reason we brought Bill in, it's referencing Hampshire. Do we want to reference Franklin County Regional or Franklin Regional? I mean, I know we signed that one.
they're both
Oh, they're
identical.
identical.
They're both identical.
So he came in to speak to both of them. My bad. Okay.
Oh, next page, okay.
Yep, it's okay. I see. When I first read it, I thought he was not speaking to Hampshire, but tonight when he came in, he did. So that's when I first looked at it. On the third page, Ashfield Fire Association was awarded a $4,200 anonymous gift as opposed to grant.
And anonymous doesn't need to be capitalized, right?
Right.
Oh, it's in liaison report.
The next paragraph down, I don't know, maybe it was just my reading, the second sentence. At the OML seminar in Greenfield, Kohler walked the areas in question.
Yeah, that's not connected.
I
I don't
didn't
know
know
what
what
time
to.
it didn't make sense.
Okay, I think it was because of the seminar.
Yeah,
I didn't know exactly
No,
how
that's-
you wanted to fix that sentence, but I wrote a
No.
question mark.
yeah, that's correct. I think it's a good point, because of
Yeah.
information provided at the
I would
OML
have said after
seminar.
attending the
Summer
seminar.
after attending.
Oh, that's fine, after attending.
That'll work.
Is that okay? The number 16, I think at the end, we would also need a number 17 because it's the amended minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was going
Okay, then we'll go back to the two other things. They're both related, and they both have to do with the OML. And in terms of what I consider lack of detail and specificity, I'm not comfortable that it says, after listening to the recording, feels that the summary of discussion with Kachina is not accurate. I think I expounded.
Where are we? I'm sorry.
Second page, bottom, discussion. If you back up from where it says document 6, one sentence, it just says it's not accurate. My concern is there was a lot more than that I was concerned about, that it was not correct, that we're not really, our meeting minutes do not accurately reflect what she said. So yes, it's incorrect, but we don't have enough specifics. We also did not include that we will be going back to her letter and answering her questions. You made that statement at the end.
Tell me the change you want to make. I'm at Lucard agrees the entire board approved the minutes of April 8th. Am I on the right paragraph?
Yes, however,
However, after listening to the recording, feels that the summary of the discussion with Kachina Urian is not accurate. That's the sentence you're working on.
right. So right at that point, it's too simplistic. There was a lot more that I said, and I was trying to get the attention of both of you that those minutes are incorrect because what it states in our minutes that she said is not what she said if you listen to the recording again. So we had a long conversation about that. And I also said, we are missing the specifics that we made, you actually said to her when budget season was over. We will come back to her document and answer her questions. And I believe that was important to have in there. Now, we ended up not agreeing at the end of the evening, and you and Ron thought otherwise. But I'm concerned that that is a very simple statement, and that I said more than just that it's not accurate.
Well, what you're saying is you said exactly that and then you expanded on it.
They're incorrect, as opposed to just not accurate.
I mean, what's here is not inaccurate.
It's incomplete. For me, it's incomplete.
So what would you like to add?
I think after it said not accurate, I would think it would be reasonable to say, you're using last names here, so Lucart states they are incorrect and they do not have enough specifics about the lengthy discussion and the select board's responses. And I would apply the same thing to the second. Those two paragraphs are identical. The first one will know and the second one.
So Lucart agrees the entire board approved the minutes of April 8th. However, after listening to the recording, feels that the summary of the discussion with June is not accurate. And then your next sentence is what?
Lucart stated the minutes are incorrect and the minutes do not have enough specifics about the lengthy discussion and the select board's responses. We had quite a conversation with her. We made her some promises, so they're not in there.
Okay, so if we add that, which I'm not totally opposed to, at what date did you have this feeling that they're not accurate? Because I'm curious, what date did we approve the minutes of April 8th? I imagine it was the next week.
It was at the meeting of May 20th when the open meeting law complaints, the two of them, were on our agenda and we were discussing them.
That's
At
right.
the
That
same
was the one that
time,
was put off for a
I
while.
said I listened to it because we received them before that meeting. So I went back and listened to the recording. So at that meeting on the 20th, I also had the same similar statements and reiterated it again when we were talking about it in light of what the town council had written for us.
I hate to admit that you're wearing me out on this. You really are wearing me out on this because I don't know where you're going with it.
Well,
But I really do not believe that anybody thinks that these minutes have to be so long as you would wish them to be. I mean, we can see, God, can't we see out here how interested people are in what we discuss on a day-to-day basis?
They do
By an audience of one, and that's he's only here because his video camera's here. Ron, do you have anything to?
I'm really too tired to think rationally on this whole thing. I mean, we can't, this is like Groundhog Day, we can't see to get over this bump in the road. But from a semantic point of view, I mean, I don't see a lot of difference right now. I didn't get the whole thing written down, which Paulette said, but Lucart stated that the minutes are incorrect, and I'm looking up there that the summary of the discussion with Kachina is not accurate, and I'm having a hard time deciphering it's really an expansion, but I mean, I do see that it's not accurate. She's making her point that they're not accurate and that she was outvoted. I really think enough said on that. I mean, I hope that when you two outvote me, that I don't, you know, I mean, I do deserve one sentence in there as to why I voted the other way, but I don't think it has to be this catch-all that goes around and around. It confuses my mind very much to that. We got to get past this. We really have to get past this because we can't function as a board. And I think these minutes here are several pages. And I do think that they represent a compromise, Paulette, to your urging us to be more specific. I mean, when I'm looking at this thing with the dam and these different things, I feel like these are really, really appropriate minutes. I really feel like we're bending over backwards. But especially at this late hour, it's really hard to keep going with this. I mean, we really need to come to an accord, this group, on them. And I'm not necessarily agreeing that they should be written twice as long or that they should include everybody's minority opinion to the same extent that it's the majority opinion. You know, I think these are appropriate. I really do. I'm not just outvoting you to outvote you. I really feel in my heart that these are good. And I understand that you don't think that they're correct, but you said that. They're not accurate. You know, it's the same thing in my mind. Maybe I'm just impatient because of the time.
Well, it's an important issue because on the 20th of May, I also said we should amend the document list. I also said we should amend our minutes. And Tom, you said to amend the minutes was illegal. It's not illegal. I knew it wasn't illegal. You said it was illegal.
But at the end of the day, because of what happened, we did amend it, right? We did
That must be my first mistake all year.
I'm sure we'll all make mistakes.
I guess maybe we're being a little facetious. It doesn't seem as though it may be legal, but there's a number of things that may be legal that sometimes you just say, boy, that's not right.
But
And this
is three opinions.
Right,
That's
there's
okay.
three of us here with three opinions.
And that's fine.
And I just try to figure out on so many of these things what the end game is, what we're trying to do as far as restating it. But I have no problem with all the other changes, but I don't think that needs to be restated again. So I'll make a motion that we accept with the amendments and the additions to the document list and the footnote that we approve the minutes as amended of June 3rd, 2013.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
It's 2-1. Okay, those can go in the book. All right, now we got
How many more do we have, just out of curiosity, minutes?
Oh, I left it in there. We have some from 2012, but given that I'm not sure how the ones that were accepted got on the list, let me go over it again tomorrow and I can.
Okay.
Wasn't the last count like 13 or 16?
Something like that in
From
2012. I'll
2012.
take another look at them to be sure. Yep.
Chief Jody should be Ashfield PD, not Ashfield Fire Department.
Good catch.
Do we need to add the date? We need to add the date on here. Sharon,
What?
can I add the date by hand on this?
Yes.
It'd be fine.
Yep.
Day of June.
I'll let you bring it back to the 13th for next week.
My copy from home. It was the draft that I wrote on.
Okay.
Yes, I remember.
That's right, gotta sign 3 of these.
signed
You gotta
that.
have both of those.
No, I signed that one, believe it or not.
Oh, you did sign that one.
Yeah.
He almost
Missed
stayed
it
between
once.
the lines.
Sorry.
Oh, he's above the line, that's nice.
All right. That's good. That's good. Where are we here? So we've done that. We did the special town meeting. Appoint a representative. Why didn't we talk to Bill about that if he still wants it? I wanted to give him a hard time.
I'm the representative we're talking about. He's the one who's elected at large.
Oh,
I'm
yes.
the one who was appointed a couple of years ago by the select board to be member to the council. That's the one that I've got the reappointment papers here for. And that's one where when I wasn't able to make it recently, Ron went as an alternate.
So what are you doing in this capacity?
I attend 4 council meetings a year, and I'm Ashfield's representative to it, and it helps me get an overview 4 times a year of pretty much everything at the car.
The rest of the town is doing? Or what the rest of the
Well,
town
what,
is?
you know, what they have available, what's happening, what the issues are. We do budget once a year. What was it when you were there, Ron?
It's a high-level council meeting. Basically, they have oversight over FERCog, and, you know, because everyone contributes to it. And I went to my first one last time because it was right after the Franklin County inspection program one, and Mary had a last-minute issue that she couldn't attend, so I filled for her. We should always have representation, and I encourage both of you to go. I mean, it's interesting. A lot of people I don't see at other meetings and stuff.
And it's helpful to me because I get to talk face-to-face to people working with, you know, through the year on contracts or services and so forth.
A lot of other select people there.
I don't see that I'm supposed to do anything.
No, you just have to
Appoint?
agree to appoint.
All that.
There's-
You have-
it's not a signing piece.
Oh, but I would, if Ron is the alternate, I would have liked to, don't we want it more formally stated on this then?
They didn't ask for a formal alternate, it's just that,
As an internal alternate then? If someone's available, I guess.
As long as somebody's there.
Mhm.
Who generally are the representatives?
They're
Mary?
usually select board members.
actually there are a number of town administrators there as well.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a mix of both. And sometimes it's just someone else. Mostly it's a select board member or a town administrator. Occasionally it's
When do they have these?
just someone who's
4 times
appointed.
a year.
4 times a year, right?
Yeah, they're at, usually something like 4 to 5 for the FCCIP, and then it's 5 to 6 or 6 to 7 for this. They're right after. In
And
fact, sometimes the same person goes. but-
Same people.
Yeah.
Right, and I haven't been going to FCCIP, I would just go to council meetings.
Do you think it should be a select board member? I mean, obviously if Mary wanted to attend, there'd be nothing to prevent more than one person from going. Is that why you were wondering?
Well, is it one town, one vote? I mean,
One would think so.
Well, they're the at-large members, and it's one town, one, well, I mean, the things we vote on tend to be pretty basic. You know, they're not,
would you vote on the board of directors? I mean, there's an executive committee, right?
so, right, you'd have to vote for that.
If you're comfortable, if Mary Fitzgibbon's comfortable doing it, I'm comfortable because I know I don't have time for that. But if Paulette, if you wanted to do it, I'd be open to that. But I'm not going to take something away from Mary when I know that I don't have time to do it myself. But if it gives you an opportunity, I mean, I guess if there's some interaction with other towns and so forth, I'd rather do that than pay for you to go to Hyannis to some weekend IRS convention or something.
Ron, the time you went, did you have any sense that it would be good to have a select board member there as well?
Yeah, I'm a little torn because select board members tend to pass in and out of the political spectrum, and so there's clearly an advantage to someone like Mary being there kind of as a keel, consistency. I was impressed with it being a little more high-powered meeting than the FCCIP meeting, which was somewhat, you're just there as a representative and listening and so on and so forth. It did seem a little bit more like an executive session, even though it wasn't,
Right, for instance, it's the board of that body that will approve the budget,
yeah.
but usually by that point, the budget has been through a number of subcommittees
Yeah,
and so forth, so you're not really making decisions on it.
And that's true. And I'd be glad, since I'm there most of the time, to sit in. That was the first one I went to, was the last one. Because if Mary's going, it's not necessarily that I'd be there necessarily, so I basically took someone's name card, it wasn't hers, and scratched my name, and it was very informal. But it was interesting. It was a different experience than I've had before at FERCog. I encourage you guys to scope it out. I don't think there would be any problem with 2 people going, 3 people going. It was interesting. It really was.
But they need to have a contact person.
We should have someone there. That's great. And there were town administrators there. Purrington was one from Gill.
Yeah,
He
I
was
talked to a
there.
number of them. And it's the, I think it's this week that Stan, or next week that Stan is having, they only have a few meetings a year, small town administrators.
Yeah.
Which is really helpful. It's the only place I can go to talk to people who have the same issues. It's down on the Cape.
I guess that's the one I was thinking of. I saw it come over my.
So this is really a valuable opportunity to talk to other people and hear what other towns are dealing with and how they're dealing with it, and talk to other administrators.
Yeah, it was so far out on the Cape, I was wondering why they didn't take it to Martha's Vineyard.
There you go.
Well, they did. It's a ferry, isn't it?
Is it on
Yeah,
Martha's
it's
Vineyard?
on the vineyard. You have to make ferry arrangements and so
Oh,
forth.
that's
So
on-
I thought about it for
We wanted
a
to-
nanosecond.
How are you supposed to represent where the small towns are?
I guess that's a small town.
So is there a motion to appoint somebody?
So move. Mary.
Mary.
Thanksgiving.
Yes, Mary Fitzgibbon. To be our representative.
Second.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, sock that one away. Liaison reports. I've got Highway Department. Tom is working on a bid, request for proposals on the grader. He still seems to be quite comfortable that it's going to come within the numbers that we approved, that the town approved. And he's also he's putting that together, but at the same time he's researching, to see if there's a state bid available that instead of us having to advertise and do all that, that's already been approved, like they do on the police cruisers and so forth. He's having a hard time getting there to get a hold of the right people to find that out. I think it would be a real central information point. Go ahead.
I went to a meeting in Buckland a week and a half ago that had the cabinet members, got a card from somebody who is, I think, the head of state bids, and he was talking about plans to coordinate that more and make it more available. I'll get the card information to Tom.
Please. I also went to see Tom and told him about your remark last week about Roe doing such a great job getting summer help.
Yep,
And he
catch.
said, you know, we talk a lot, why haven't I spoken to, I can't remember the highway superintendent, but he was gonna get right on that and,
See what they do.
but with the weather lately, as far as getting some of the gravel roads done, he was feeling
Yeah.
a bit behind schedule. And today, they went around to all the trouble culverts
Yeah.
to try to make sure they were open before we get a lot of rain tonight.
Good.
Pull the rigs out for the beavers and all those good things. But besides that, I told them, carry on.
And that one on Main Street, as I was coming to the meeting tonight, it's in front of Browning, yeah. It's got, it must have something to do with the way that part of the road is graded or something. It's not sending the water to the drain.
So there was a culvert there, but it's just not going into it.
Well, by the looks of it, there's a big puddle.
It looks like the,
A design issue.
yes, it looks like the drop inlet is on the uphill part of the road.
Oh, we just moved over.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, it used to be much worse right across from Cordelli's. It used to be much worse there, and there was some corrective action taken, and that's, I guess I haven't noticed it being bad.
I think the state would take care of that because of the ice potential and hazard.
Do we
And
need to
Tom
ask them?
was feeling, and Tom is in contact with over to Goshen. Remember, we had a letter from Preston about it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Tom, but I don't think it's going to go very far. Probably when we have a District 1 highway meeting, there'll be time to discuss it, but I don't know. I'm not sure how far it'll go or how fast. But we can just keep it in mind. But there's a lot of other stuff, and he's trying to get this chip and seal business. And hopefully the state's going to get their budget and tell us what our bond allocation is, which should
We
be
might have something in the mail about that, but I'm not sure.
CBC. Yeah, but it hasn't been approved yet.
No,
It
it's
hasn't
just-
been authorized. It's just promises.
Right.
So. Paulette, do you have anything? We got the,
I don't, no.
we got the chief's deal. I think we
I
took
don't
care of
have
that.
anything. I haven't talked to Dell since I know they were sending the new truck back up. There was some other repair that had to be done that wasn't able to be done at the Ford garage. And it had to go back to the,
You told me about it too, and I can't remember what it was.
it's something to do with its,
Didn't
Just
have a big enough
idling
alternator. Oh, I thought it
Just
didn't have a big
idling.
enough alternator on it. They put a too small an alternator on it. That's the one I told me about. Like they put a 90 amp instead of 120 amp.
it could be related to it.
240 or whatever it's supposed to be. But,
But I can check with him and see if he's got that. If that's been corrected for him so that it's down to the end of any of the finishing touches, so to speak, or last little adjustments.
has the chief spoken to you any about formulating a plan on how he's thinking his budget's gonna fall together? Remember we spoke about that last week, is that we told him that maybe he needs to get together on that, and he didn't bring it up tonight, maybe he hadn't on the agenda, I didn't want to bring it up, but
Because what really was removed from it was the difference between the 33 hours and the 40 hours that he wanted
for the reserve officer.
for reserve officers, right? So I was sort of hoping, he also mentioned the grant, I forget what he said, it was state tonight, that, hours worked, and the state kicks in some hours, and I was wondering if that might get him some extra hours, if he was able to get that grant, using the statistics from the trail. So, like he said, if you work 10 and get 10 hours grant, you might be able to get some of that extra time. That's what I was wondering, anyway, when you said it. I was not aware of that before.
I guess my feeling on that is, my position is that it's good to be looking for this extra money to do this other stuff, but we really need to make a plan on how we use the money we've got right now and not,
we did put the extra 1,000, I thought, we were thinking of the fall festival, because we had to come up with some extra money for that this year, which we had told them we would do. And so there's that, and then there was another $1,000 contingency in case he needed
To do some of the casework.
where that last year they had to bring in a female officer from another town, and that was a hefty chunk when they were done. So he's got a couple of things, but it may be that it's just by mid-year, have some sense that you're on target, or if something's happened that's impacting that, to take a look and see what can be done. I would assume we do a lot less patrolling per se in winter, but we probably get called out on accidents more.
Well, you never know. I mean, I would, if it were me running the department, I would probably set my budget up so I would be at mid-year, I would only have about 40% of it spent, you know, and in the winter, you know, and just kind of hold back a little bit, but I mean, we can't be coming up with a $7,000 or $8,000 shortfall like we did last year, and there's no excuse for it, because the shortfall we filled this year is in there plus more, so.
We made that clear last week.
Yeah, I just want to follow up and, you know.
Yeah,
I was hoping the trailer would help.
yeah, me too.
To fill in, you know, just on Main Street on the weekend, okay, now you can pay attention to something else, because maybe it's morning people.
Yeah.
And
I think we're moving in the right direction there. I mean, I just wonder if we're going to pass up an opportunity for some grant money, but you never know. You never know. Ron, you have anything?
A couple real quick things. One is I attended my first long-term, long-range planning committee meeting with the Mohawk Trail Regional District last Thursday. I'm not going to be able to go to next Thursday's meeting because I have some other plans out of town. But it was an interesting meeting. They were talking about the charge of it and authority, all the things, you know, we were talking about. Different, but similar in many ways to what David was speaking about. So I don't have a lot to report back on that. There were a lot of interesting people there, people from the previous generation, like, you know, Larry Shearer.
Sure.
Yeah, so he was like 30 years on the school committee or some crazy amount, and a lot of select people. Some of the names that they brought up were there. It was at the Buckland Town Hall. And they're going to, based on a number of suggestions from people, try to rotate it amongst the towns so that it's more accessible to people in different towns. Only 2 people showed up from, you know, the neighboring town, Buckland. That's that. The next thing I wanted to touch on was I contacted Alden Gray and Decker Machine Works on our idea on the 29th, because I was going to look into that, and they were okay with that. I haven't yet called Phil Nolan, which I intend to do. I don't see that we necessarily have an easement up there, and I presumed we did because there's a dry hydrant up there and everything, but I'm looking at some deeds now, and I'll just touch base with them to be safe.
Is the boat ramp?
The boat ramp is different. I'm talking on this side.
On this side.
So I intend to talk to him also about that, and those other 2 people, both Alden said, oh, I'll come to the dam one also. And I said, really? He said, yeah, I was involved with some of the engineering on that and had ideas and stuff, so they're going to be there. And I would say that what I would like to do, if it's permissible, is on the 24th, which is before the 29th, is be on the agenda for just 5 or 10 minutes to talk about how we might conduct that meeting. That if a handicapped person shows up, I'd rather they didn't get out of their vehicle at all, and we could bring the meeting to their window, you know, and I think that would be an appropriate thing to do, because on the dam it's stones, and I don't know that I know all their needs. I also mentioned to Alden that, I don't know if you remember, I gave you some assessor cards on the fields. He says, stop referring to it as the old saying, because I always do, I consider these things. It is the field, or the fields, plural. And that's all you'll hear from me from now on is the fields, you know, unless you want to get all of
that part of the fields is a town road?
Yeah, exactly. And so I said it might be appropriate, and I plan to have signs out there for, you know, for accessibility. Would just let you know, are you okay if they drive, because I drove up there and checked it out, are you okay if we drive on the field property, the field's property? He says, absolutely, don't worry about it, I'll be there for that too. So, short of Phil Nolan, we're all set for the 29th.
Are we,
I'll get out there earlier, put signs up. And
should we post that?
we have to post it.
No, but should we post it early, or should we wait and post it? Can we post it on
I'd like to post it on the 24th, because that'll give me any logistic time that I need. You know, if Phil Nolan says something to me that changes our plan, you know, I'd like that.
have a 5-day forecast at that point?
Yeah, exactly. We can push it out. So I'm requesting a little time on the 24th, 5-10 minutes, to hand out packages so we don't have to necessarily do it.
Are we still having all the boards and committees come the 24th, or are we moving them to some other time?
No, we're moving that to some other time.
We've got to reschedule a different time for that. There's just so many things going on at the town hall.
And it'd be nice if we did it. I was just thinking, depending what we thought attendance might be. I really like the idea of upstairs, if we, as opposed to putting up lots of little chairs and stuff around here, if we were encouraging them to come, and there's
Nothing going on upstairs.
special function upstairs, we could go upstairs. It's summer, it's nice. It's just a thought.
Last thing I had was,
Of course, if it's not, you got to get kind of a feel for the crowd on that, because it's quite a bit of work to set up the upstairs. That's quite a bit of effort to just knock it down again. And if we only get 10 or 15 and they can fit here.
Exactly.
the last thing is, next Monday, the town hall liaison meeting will happen as planned. We've set that up already, and they're supposed to give me any ideas they have on position descriptions, or if they're suitable the way they are. I'd like to, I have no agenda whatsoever, other than to process those 3 or 4, get them out of the way if we can. I know we can't do it in one meeting, but I'd like to get those schedules, get the select board to sign off so that the personnel board can have this book of these approved things, and it'd be nice to do in other departments too.
We were shooting for the middle of July.
That's fine,
right?
but-
Is that right?
And I sent copies to the police department, and I forget to say it, my liaison, and I sent them for the fire department. Dell's going to look at them. And it's like Juan said, it's not so much, oh, go make them anything you want, but is there something incorrect?
Did we forget something or whatever?
Right.
Yep.
I have not given Tom any of those yet, but I will in the next week here.
It's one of those things I think we need to do if we're going to do evaluations, so I'm just trying to.
I have read and made notes on 2/3 of the ones.
That's great.
What do we got for mail? Oh, in this folder, you see that
Ted Mers?
that the finance committee shot back, but that's all right. Hopefully it'll just die a natural death.
Yep, I did see that.
So you have a copy of Ted Murray's. Just want to remind people that the Ashfield Historical Commission is going to have a demolition delay bylaws meeting June 27th at 7 p.m.
Do we have any background information on that? The demolition and historic, I mean, maybe we haven't been, I can't say we haven't been following the Ashfield news because there isn't anything in it, but do we have any information that can be forwarded to us on email or anything? So
We
have some
don't
idea?
have anything except sort of what I've heard or know about, from talking to people in town hall, which is that.
And who, the planning board's having this meeting?
No, it's the Historical Commission.
Oh.
And somebody approached the Historic Commission with, I think it was Amelia DeHert, approached them with sample demolition bylaws from the eastern part of the state. And I'm getting the second hand, but I guess suggested that maybe Ashfield needed one for the historic district. So they are having a meeting with someone from, with Chris Skelly from the Massachusetts Historical Commission to come talk to them about it.
Now, I have to admit, if you can get a little primer together, I'm always confused between historic districts and historic register districts. Is that correct?
Right, and I used to be pretty clear, because I have a little thing at home in my house, you may have one too. This is not an historic district, I think it's an historic register district. And if I've
I need to be clear.
flipped
In
those,
spite of the sign?
does it say historic
The
district?
sign's coming in.
So maybe I've flipped it, but what I do know is there's a kind of historic district where you get into restrictions and regulations about what you can do. It's not that kind. It's just the kind that recognizes that there is a certain density of historic buildings within the specified area for which there is good historic material about the dates and the history involved.
We're discussing, Rob, about a meeting on the 27th, right? It's on
Yes,
Thursday.
being hosted by the Ashfield Historical Commission
Yeah, I made a note of that.
here at Town
I'll
Hall.
plan to be there. I've seen
So
similar
maybe it's
bylaws.
just that we're historic district, not historic register. But whichever it is, it's a recognition, but it's not a district that comes with a set of rules, constraints.
Right.
Right.
We have to hand human all our meetings anymore.
Does Ted's response become one of our documents for our today's meeting?
Sure.
So just to the chief and a copy to us?
I mean, I think they sent it to the chief originally.
Yeah.
Yeah, they sent it. Actually, Ted sent it.
And so I got a copy this afternoon with a request from Ted saying we should put one in each select board member's file.
I think it would be good to have as a document.
It's fine with me. You have a copy, Lynn? You will.
I put one in
No,
the
I
file
haven't.
too.
What's next, Aaron?
We got an open actually I can give you this whole stack of mail if you like, or I can read it off to you.
Go ahead, read it off.
All right. We got an open meeting law complaint violation determination. It was filed against the Ashfield Board of Selectmen by Suzanne Corbett, August 24th, 2012. The short version is it's about a meeting that was held, it specifically focuses on a May 30th, 2012 meeting. I know the AGs in the last month or two, I've been talking this month or two, and I know they've interviewed people involved, Paulette, Ron, Doug, myself. They found that the board violated the open meeting law, but took appropriate steps to cure the violation, and it goes through the facts.
Is that the one where you were being used as a conduit?
Yes. And one of the things I learned from this is I thought I knew what deliberation was, and then had to do specifically with decision. In my discussions with Hannah and reading through this, deliberation broadens a bit to certain kinds of information. So this is on the website, the AG's website, and it's actually an answer. Nope, these are both answers to Tom Carter. I thought it might be a copy of the answer to Suzanne, but these are addressed to Tom Carter, chair of the board, and a CC to Suzanne Corbett, and I looked, and it's on the website as well.
Are there two there or one?
Just one.
Oh, When you said they, that's why I was asking.
Yeah,
There's a
I checked to
cover
see if
letter.
both the cover letter and,
Okay.
So what was the background on this? You guys lived it, not me. So you can't speak to anything except the pillars in here when you're not in session? I mean, it sounds like you cured it yourself.
Well, I think we really cured it when we sat with town council on June 25th last year and talked it through, but
well, no, I believe the
they're
cure,
noting.
I believe the cure was when it was discussed in open meeting, and the liaisons continue to be discussed in the next open meeting. I believe, that's the way I read it.
They seem to be crediting that, but anyway, the serial communication is not to run a discussion like from one to the other or through some other party and back. Remember we were talking about going to the dam with just Doug? And we said, but be careful, don't use that as, hey, so Doug, when Tom comes, tell him Paulette said, and then that is the serial communication through some other person that's not on the board. So in effect, we made the deliberation without having a meeting outside of it.
Well, and I guess this is a time where I could say that having read this
And you were it.
talked to Hannah about it, I was it. I certainly had no intention of being it. I thought that a deliberation had to do with making a decision, lining up votes or something like that, as opposed to passing a piece of information. Hannah said that recent cases have been broadening the understanding of what a deliberation is, and it can be a piece of information. And it makes me realize I have no specific training in how to both be the person who communicates with each person and which kinds of information are allowable and aren't. Some is clear, some is not so clear. I don't have an answer yet, but I would like to look for myself, talk to some other town administrators, and find out. I feel that I need to get some training or some consultation. If Stan hadn't been so far away, although that agenda gets set, I just realized that with the broad interpretation of what a deliberation is, not necessarily lining up a decision, but a piece of information. I'm going to be looking for something I can attend or go to, maybe, so that I don't inadvertently, two things. One, so that I don't inadvertently pass a piece of information that I shouldn't, and two, so that I'm clear enough that I'm not afraid to talk to any of you all the time about anything.
So on this violation, was there a decision made?
We're hearing it.
No, was there a decision made due to the communication that took place?
There was a decision not to have liaisons to those departments.
That decision was made in an open meeting.
Right.
And it wasn't any part of any suggestion one way or another.
I guess from my point of view, I'm a different person now than I was a year ago. Not for the better, necessarily. I think a lot of things in communication can be handled very easily between two people without violating the Massachusetts laws. And sometimes the open meeting law impedes progress and gets in the way. And when a third party steps in, like Nancy Drew, who tries to say, doesn't belong this way and stuff, it aggravates and inflames the situation. And I would have handled it, if I had the knowledge now that I had then, I would have handled it totally differently than I had. And I've grown that way. But it is what it is. And the AG has the authority to do what they want. It doesn't mean I have to agree with them. But I would handle it differently going forward. And
It seems odd that here we live in this great information age, and yet they set up laws intentionally so you can't share any of it to do anything constructive.
yeah, where it becomes difficult is like, I can go to, say I miss a meeting here, And I could go to Mary. Mary connects us all. I mean, she's the administrator, and I don't see any harm in me saying, so what happened at that meeting? Yeah. And how did Tom feel about that? How did Paulette feel? And I don't think I'd be violating anything. It's where you say, you know, tell them this, and then they come back with that. What you've done is you've passed knowledge through the back door. And when David Newell called me, as he called each of you guys the other day, or other week.
I was gone.
Oh, so he called me and he says, I know I can't talk to you together, but I wanted to get your opinion on this, and then I'm going to talk to Paulette. I said, that's fine, but David, I'm going to tell you right now, you can't tell her what you said to me, because you'd be violating open meeting law. You'd be serving as, even if you don't intend to, you'd be serving as a conduit. So you can't do that. He says, I promise I won't do it. I said, be very careful. And, you know, so it's people trying to connect and bridge relationships and stuff that do it inadvertently that, you know, get problems, have problems with it.
Because it could be. It's like getting buy-in before you have the meeting so you know it's all going to go well, and they really want the deliberation out front. So when he called me, he said he had talked to you, period. That's it. Okay.
That's what he
And
did.
yeah, he didn't tell me anything about the conversation, just let me know he did talk to Ron.
Yeah.
So for all I knew, Ron was in favor or not in favor.
Yeah.
So it didn't pass any information to that extent.
All right.
Then we have.
So that'll be attached as a document.
Yep.
Correct?
As well as going into our open meeting law complaints, responses, and
Yeah.
so forth. This came in today from Donna. It looks to me like it's just our copies of what she sent.
Our
in
copies
response.
are what we discussed last week.
Can I ask a question, because I have no knowledge? Did she agree to do what we asked her to? Put it out on her letterhead? How did it
She
happen?
put it on our letterhead and she signed it as
Good.
town council.
Perfect. Did you sign it, Tom?
I did.
Good. And that went fairly smoothly then?
Well, fine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now see, I didn't know it was going to look that way, but that's okay.
Well, it was one or the other option, because
Right.
we didn't know how it was going to
Right.
come out.
How did you want it to?
No,
Or you
when
thought it would look?
I didn't know if it was going to come out just her without you.
But he's on it somewhere, I'm sure.
Right. But and that was one of the flavors, so I wasn't sure which one it was going to be.
Yeah. Okay. I crossed my fingers that
I figured it would be typed on white paper.
Yeah.
Then we have an FRTA requesting town submit a letter stating the person will serve as the FRTA advisory board member for FY14. Be sure letter states appointment will be for current fiscal year, and still need a letter even if the person is a member of the select board. It has been Paulette. And so attached is a copy of the FRTA conflict of interest form. Please have the advisory board member that you designate complete this form and return it to the FRTA. Also forward a copy of the Mass State Ethics Commission conflict of interest online training receipt for both the advisory board member and designee.
So what would be the conflict of interest of being on the FRTA if you sold buses? Or tires?
Something that could make money based on a vote.
You were a bus driver before that.
Right.
What level of, while we're on the subject, what level of service do we get in town from FRTA at this point? Close my eyes and what do I see?
No, I believe we get some, I want to say funding, because I asked the question before, has to do with the senior center for running bus service. And we were going to have them come at one point and see what else, but the what else is always attached to more money, like whether or not they could run a van to take people. But I think the senior center, I mean, Wayne Wicklund at times has said they're handling some of that, and they've got their little bus and they've got volunteers who take people. It might be worth looking at again, only because when the senior center folks were here, if you remember, our population is getting older quickly. Because remember they said they were going from like 425, in 5 years there'll be 800 residents in town 60 and over. So there could be more need because you might not have as many volunteers because the volunteers themselves are the ones taking the ride.
Right.
So we might be getting into a situation where having the bus where to take somebody to a doctor's appointment and stuff like that. I know in Greenfield you can sign up for that and tell them when you want. It's a small fee. And they take you and bring you back. 4 times a year, I believe. But I don't think we're a big voting member. I remember attending a couple of the meetings, but because we don't really utilize the services, we're like we belong, but we don't utilize much, so.
They let you go, but you had to stand in the back corner. You didn't have to face the corner, but you had to stand in the back corner.
Who's the back row? But it could become more interesting for the town.
Are you still interested in being a part of that?
Sure, I'll be glad to attend. Unless somebody else wants it.
I'll make a motion.
I second it. They want that done, right? Let's do it. Let's handle that piece of
And
paper.
I think it'd be good to have them come here and explain it like they were supposed to last time.
Yeah,
Kind of petered out for some reason.
should we move it like September?
I don't know.
Because it'll go, I mean, summer will go quick, every other week, July and August will disappear fast.
Oh, come on.
And that gives them time to get ready.
Yeah, that's fine. September, October, right? Be fine. So all those in favor of
Paulette being
Paulette being the representative? Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
I'll vote for myself.
Very good.
And Paulette, maybe, I'm just trying to see if there's a deadline here, but I will do is.
I know I turned the ethics thing into Ann.
Did you, and should I make a copy of the conflict of interest form, or just give you this one?
Either way,
For the
if you want to just scan it in and email it to me?
I'll do that and leave this in the file.
Sure.
Huh?
Did you make a motion or second?
I
Ron made it.
made the
Ron made
motion,
the
I
motion,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. I made the motion.
Okay, I seconded it, sorry.
Then we have a DOT letter addressed to Norm Russell. We have to change this, but, and as you said, it's telling us where things stand now.
The funding, that came over the email too, I think.
Same thing, your projected allotment of 223,289 may be available on
But
passage
they
chapter
gotta wait for
90.
the governor and everybody to get behind it, so.
We're gonna see some free cash, aren't we?
Well, that's a bond issue.
I know,
That's
but just
fine.
on a separate issue.
I don't know.
From vote, you don't know? From vote vocational. Yeah, fingers crossed.
There is a letter from Lenny Roberts to Daniel Hall, Section Chief, DEP, regarding a deadline DEP gave him, June 1st, 2013, and actions completed. And so I guess he wanted the select board to have a copy of that.
Did we get an email on that today?
No, this is sort of a packet in the mail. So it talks about what he has done to address the.
What's the date on that?
DEP
On the
letter.
envelope. I see an envelope in the back, a date on the letter.
The date on the letter is May 30th, and so
Oh, okay.
that probably
That's
came,
enough.
Tuesday or Wednesday or
Yep.
Thursday of last week.
Can I see that? I just would like to read it real quick.
Just as easy as supposed to.
Would you be pass that tomorrow?
There is,
Feel free to read it. I'll be quick.
I got this in the mail today, announcing a Hilltown Public Workshop on critical municipal records management, Chesterfield Community Center, Thursday, June 13th, which is this Thursday, came today, today's mail, 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Today for a meeting on Thursday?
Yep,
Okay.
that's not uncommon.
I know. It just makes it hard to make the meetings.
This is what I did
Oh, okay.
So did you all hear that? Do you
on
want
my
any
email. No, I
more?
wasn't paying a whit of attention to
I
you
got
at that moment.
Announcing a Hilltown's public workshop on critical municipal records management. Came in today, it's at Chesterfield Community Center, Thursday, June 13th, 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. I would like to go, but I'm not going to be able to. I've scheduled myself away for that day. But what I can do is contact them and see if they have any materials, which is what I often do if we don't have meetings. Contact them, see if they have any materials that they can share.
I would like you to share that with the town clerk and see if she couldn't attend.
Yep, I will see if she can.
I think that would be wonderful.
And where is it? Chesterfield?
Chesterfield Community Center, Grange Hall, 400 Main,
That's on Friday.
Thursday.
Thursday, it's Thursday. I'll be in New York City.
And on the off chance that it's neither Mary nor Ann, would it be appropriate for Lynn to go and bring back?
I just laughed when you said, Tom, you were gonna send Nancy. I thought, yeah, that works.
Yeah, so we'll see. Yes. So we'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll see if we can have somebody there. And as I say, if we can't, what I tend to do is call and say, are there any materials that we can share?
No, I can't actually.
I know, but
I'll be here
I can't.
Thursday.
I'm not going to be here.
We don't want to work our way all the way down the list to send in Jack Clark, so.
I was gonna say, Jack should go. No, I have a bunch of tests at the hospital right now.
I guess that's it.
Well, I'd rather go to that probably than the test at the hospital, but.
And Franklin Regional Council of Governments, a notice of the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy SEDS Committee, which will be meeting, this also came today, Wednesday, June 19th at 5:30 p.m. I'm trying to see what's on their agenda. Fostering business development, planning efforts downtown Orange and Coleraine, and other business state ethics commission. 5 minutes.
That's one end of the spectrum to the other, going from orange to cold. Well, maybe it's not so different.
Is this related? Remember we did that questionnaire? Is this related to that questionnaire we did?
I don't know.
Were we in to fill out what
Yeah,
are you
we
interested
prioritized a bunch of stuff, right? That questionnaire, Paul?
in? Yeah, you would just
Yeah.
come on the board, I think. Maybe not, maybe it's something different.
Look at the agenda, estimated time.
Should we try it?
Maybe that's not related, just it sounded a little bit similar.
Well, we did prioritize economic stuff and that sort of thing, so that maybe they use that information to develop that.
Could be.
Can you scan that in and email it to us?
Yep, and is it something you would like me to try to attend?
Well, I'm almost thinking I might want to go.
Okay. And actually, just having a minute to look a little more at this meeting Thursday, it is really about archival records and so forth, so I think Nancy may choose to go. That's it?
I wonder. In that discussion with Nancy comes in, Nancy Garvin comes in to help with.
Actually, I was thinking of that. Maybe, were you thinking that maybe if Nancy Dunn can't go, that Nancy Garvin, we might
Well, I
let
think,
her know about it and I talk to her about it.
I would think the town clerk definitely should go. I know it's coming up on a busy election week next week and so on and so forth, but I would think this would be really pretty important. But maybe Nancy Garvin, you know.
But if she's already scheduled, she may.
Yeah. All right, and that's all the mail.
That's it.
You got more mail?
I got it. I received 2 emails, and I will forward them to you, but I printed them out because I think the content, after you read them, there is some concern, continuing, I guess you would call it, but I shouldn't paraphrase, of chemicals being used at the Ashfield house and not notifying people, and at some point, you may want to take an interest. It's still public housing, it's in the town, and they are residents, so I'll forward it to you so you have an email copy.
I actually have
I think we have it.
Oh, I think I came in an email today, actually, didn't it? But it looked,
Oh,
Addressed
no,
to
this
me,
is different.
this is to me.
oh, this isn't the one addressed to Robin Sherman.
No, this was, Deb Nicholson sent it directly to me, so I thought I should bring them along, and I had limited access, so the printing is a little funny, that's it, cause. And then she sent a second one addressed to me and a copy to Suzanne Corbett, because she's her advocate. So I'm sharing those, and I can pass them. And she's asking, she's got some concerns about the Ashfield house, and I'm just thinking.
I know nobody here is a lawyer. Could anybody, in a nutshell, tell me what the definition of an advocate is, just so I know?
An advocate is apparently who you say an advocate is. If it is, I checked with town council on this because the question came up at some point. And if somebody is an advocate for the purpose of looking at an individual's private records or speaking on behalf of that person in a formal or official way or signing a document, then the advocate needs to be an advocate in writing, and the board or town needs to have that. If it's a casual representation in a meeting, I'm here on behalf of so-and-so, I'm going to ask these questions, then it's whatever the party who is being advocated for says. So that, what I was told by our town council is that there are 2 levels, and if it involves any confidential information, any financial information, any health information being passed to someone who is an advocate, then that needs to be in writing from the person for whom they are an advocate. If it's someone at a meeting saying, I'm an advocate for someone, and that someone says she's an advocate for me, at that point, it's a casual advocacy.
I think Suzanne being an advocate for Deb has been going on for a couple of years now.
As I understand,
for a long time.
it's not the length of time, it's what the advocate.
No, I'm just saying it's documented in the Board of Health that she's an advocate. And anyway, it's been there for a couple of
Right.
years. That's all it is.
As I say, there are 2 levels. So if it's access to records and that sort of thing, then it's something that you get in writing. If it's just discussing in a meeting, that's okay.
And this was the email one that came, but I think that went to everybody. So I just.
Is that the one
put
addressed to
copy.
Robin Sherman?
Right.
Right.
Now, if you want it to go with it, since it's related, fine.
No, and I didn't bring that to this meeting because it went to everybody, and it was addressed to
And it was
Robin Sherman by the board, so.
I brought those other 2 in because they were addressed to me. But
Okay.
I have to admit, if you read the one about the chemicals, it is a concern. And everybody that lives there is a citizen in town, and it's like the second time in a short period of time, and just saying, oops, I forgot to tell everybody. I mean, I want you to be concerned if I was a resident over there and that was happening to me. I'm not exactly sure how we can help them, but I wish there was something we could do or say on behalf of this board that
Well, I only have,
there was something wrong with doing that.
I can't tell you because I haven't
Of
kept
course
track. I just have not kept track of how many emails I've seen on this pesticide application. And I try to watch the list of who it's addressed to, you know, to figure out how many people are in the loop. And it seems as though absolutely everyone has been contacted about this, except the people in the state of Massachusetts who are in charge of all the pesticide regulations.
Who are they?
The pesticide board.
I was not aware there was a pesticide board. Is
That's who enforces all that. But it seems as though they have, everybody else in the entire universe is then contacted, and yet I never see any of the names of the people from the pesticide board.
What
So
would you
it's easy,
forward
it's easy to
that
Google.
letter to them?
I'm not gonna, it's not up to me because I don't have the details, but they can do an investigation. It's very easy. Massachusetts, just Google. I mean, we use the computers all the time. You go right there, Massachusetts Pesticide Bureau, bang.
So would that be a recommendation, given the one Deb wrote about the spraying of chemicals and pesticides?
Well, it all depends on what the end game is. That would personally, if I really had a concern about pesticide use, because Massachusetts Department of Public Health doesn't make the regulations.
About pesticides. Well, you all haven't had a
Those
chance
are-
to see
those-
that, because I
those-
just brought it, but I'll forward it to you.
I mean, pesticides are regulated by the EPA.
Lesson learned.
The Pesticide Bureau in Massachusetts is the arm of the US EPA.
In your day-to-day, do you deal with pesticides with some of the farm stuff you're involved with?
Sure.
Okay. Well, you all haven't had a chance to see those, but
I mean, you know, it's very much the same as, I mean, I'm not gonna pass judgment, I'm not gonna say what, but, you know, it sounded to me like no application was made, so it's kind of hard for somebody to investigate it, but for whatever reason, those people would be a great resource. So, but it looks like a lot of reading, and I'm not, it's 11 o'clock. We could actually get out of here 45 minutes earlier than last week. Do you have anything else?
no, just sharing them. That were interesting.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
11 o'clock.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. It's 11 p.m. and we are ready to go. Actually, it's 10:58.
Did you get your chestnuts appointment?